Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to SimPlay Motorsport. It's your Wednesday evening dose of racing, and it is the Pro-Am time here at Suzuka. What a legendary, iconic circuit. We've seen champions crowned here in the past in real-world motorsport. We've seen dramatic races around here. We've seen none other than a Dan Davis struggle like mad to take pole position, and me go absolutely crazy last season with excitement for that one. What a track Suzuka is. It provides great racing, it provides great action. It did last night in the GT4s. Was lucky enough to watch that back today. My God, Dan Davis did a great job with that one, because what action was on that circuit throughout the three races. But we are back tonight, myself and Dan. Hopefully he's recovered from last night. We are back for this Suzuka race. We've got 26 cars, hopefully to have 28. Stephen Millington has had to take his wife to hospital, so we hope all is well there. As well as Sam is running a bit late from work, so we hope he can get in as well. But Dan, good evening to yourself. What a night, what a track, what a destination to be at as we enter this final 4 weeks of the season.
Yeah, good evening everyone, and yeah, welcome back once again, back in the commentary box once again with yourself, Matthew. And yeah, last night was definitely a night for my voice to get a good workout once again, and I think it's going to happen again tonight. But yeah, Suzuka, always a circuit that seems to really bring out really crazy and dramatic racing. Obviously, the weather also is here as unpredictable, but luckily for this week, it's been fairly predictable. Yeah, this circuit for me, it's a kind of a Marmite circuit for people. I think you either love it or you hate it, and obviously there's not many circuits around the world that's a figure of 8. That's one of the things that's unique and different about this circuit. There's not many circuits nowadays, especially that's a oval, a figure of 8 format. But nonetheless, it's definitely an iconic circuit, brilliant nonetheless. And for one, I know whoever does love it always tend to be very rapid around here. A driver comes to mind is Overtaker. He just seems to love this circuit. It seems to be the place where he seems to be dominant. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this one, and hopefully we can see some drama here in the Pro-Am. And already I can see some changes. There's Argent sat in second at the minute, been struggling all season long, and he's currently second fastest at the moment. Yeah,
heck of a lap time from Kieran Argent, but it's not close enough to that of Richie Michelle. If you look outside of Richie Michelle, a second cover, second to 14th place, which is pretty good, with our debutant Ellie making her first appearance this season. Obviously, we had the dramas of the wrong ID number. Friedel, whatever. He makes his debut today. He got in, and don't forget, this is the last week really for drivers to be on the grid before that cut-off area. So GT4s is now cut off. We don't accept drivers for the last 3 weeks of the season. Obviously, as we're getting into that nitty-gritty championship sort of format as well. And one thing to mention, Dan, last 2 weeks are the drop scores, because the drop scores don't count for the last 2 weeks. So really here, these drivers have got a lot of work to do to make sure they have good weeks, because they don't want a drop score going into that Alton Park, Donington Park area where it's not going to count for them.
Yeah, definitely so. They need to make sure they get their final preparations done and be on the ball, and make sure they get to the end cut-off point for drop scores. But nonetheless, it should be an interesting end to the season. Justin Winter just crossing the line, and he now goes P2. He finally gets within 8 tenths, but Richie Michelle once again showing that Lamborghini what it can do in the right hands. And again, it blows my mind, Matt, that we only see 2 Lamborghinis here. And I was actually having quite a long discussion with Clouden last night, actually, about the Lamborghini, and obviously done a bit of running and racing in PC leagues such as FRL and many others. But it always seems like the Lamborghini never gets seen. It never gets chosen. And one of the strongest cars in that championship was the Lamborghini. And again, it still surprises me to this day that it's not a picked car. It's not a choice.
Yeah, it's a strange one, isn't it? Because like you say, characteristics of a good car. But we don't tend to see it, you know, even when we see cars recently in the past 8 championships of ACC. We've seen in the past, we look at De Silva, then a lot of people seem to choose the McLaren. We look at the Audi when Ripper won in it. We saw a lot of people then chose the Audi. There's always been a few Bentleys around. Obviously, that was your PS4 days. Into your PS5 days, we saw a lot of McLaren Evos. We saw a lot of BMWs. We see a lot of Ferraris. Porsche, we kind of understand why a lot of people don't choose it, but the Lamborghini is one that is a bit of a hidden gem, and if you can master it, like Richie Michel has done this season in the Pro-Am, you can get good results out of it. From last season, obviously, we saw the difference between yourself and Mike, and you look at Mike's 2 seasons in the Ferrari, and then his 1 season in that Lamborghini, completely different, so you've got to get that car hooked up, but it doesn't seem to be everybody's cup of tea. Or one thing we see as well, Dan, because this server is live all year round, so we can see drivers come in and out to test certain cars, especially since this year with the bot being introduced. And again, Lamborghini wasn't really a choice when we saw drivers testing different cars. We saw a few Audis, we saw a few Porsches, we saw a few Ford Mustangs. Didn't really see many Lamborghinis being picked.
No, I mean, I've seen a handful of drivers, and I know one driver was very serious about running it, but got swayed a different way. It just, like, again, it just blows my mind. I mean, again, not to try to blow my own trumpet, but after winning 2 seasons in it, one after the other, you would have thought people would have gone, well, maybe there's something's going on here that Dan seems to know that no one else, and it still blows my mind. But this season, for sure, we've seen a lot of brand new front engine cars that we've not seen in a while or seen at all yet, which is lovely to see. We've seen the return of the Mercedes-Benz. We got the Nissan GTR here with Michael. We've seen the Lexus make a return. BMW's been quite strong this season, and not a flux of McLarens. And it's nice to see that. But I do think a lot of cars have been looked and missed, and possibly could have been a lot stronger. And I think Richie Michel really nailed it.
The other one, Dan, today is the Aston Martin. We've not seen a lot of Aston Martins out there on the grid. We saw O'Reilly do really well in it. Another car that's kind of, I think, underappreciated and undervalued.
Oh, definitely so. The Aston Martin by far is one of the strongest cars I think is on this grid. It's the first car that I actually used on this game, and I remember doing my first race at Zandvoort with just an open lobby with yourself and another driver, and stuck with you boys. You've had a bit more time and experience on it, and I managed to stick with you in the Aston. So it's definitely a car that's very strong, a very, very good car in the right hands. It's just, again, no one seems to give it. It's one lap pace everyone goes for, I think, and they don't really give the Aston Martin a good run because, again, Ben makes it work. So does O'Reilly. Alex has been phenomenal in that car. I think Alex has really shown how good the Aston Martin can be. It's definitely been a Ferrari season this season. It's been non-stop Ferraris, I think, this year, and BMWs has been the favoured car, Ferrari and BMWs.
Massively so. Grid order for tonight then for this round 17 and 18 of Suzuka. Here then in Japan, what a grid order this proves to be tonight. It is Ellie on pole position from Ian Best. Second on row 2 then will be that of Jamie and Michael. The Godzilla car on its home circuit on the game. Darren Bell will line up alongside DJ Phil for 5th and 6th, with then Rob Smith and Kieran Argent P7 and 8. Just behind them two then in P9 and 10 it will be that of Monkey Boy and Player Man. What a lineup that could be for Monkey Boy in the top 10. Can he make his way towards that podium? Francisco and Luke Saunders are 11th and 12th before Brian Craig and Robert Rams. What is meant to be Stephen Millington, he's had to take his wife training, as we said, so he's not there on the grid. So then it's Robert Ramsell and Casper Olin before we head to Lando Norris, who I can't actually see. Paul Williams and Lando Norris. They're the wrong way around according to the timing screens. Then it is Mirko Ricci, Gary Clarble, John Gooday from Stephen Beck, Old Sim Racer and Justin Winter, before we get down to Dennis Hansen and Richie Michel. And then at the back, Sam was hoping to be in for race 1. He's running late from work. He was to start at the back with our new driver, Friedel, then at the front. But Dan, we haven't had a female driver since Ema Kizzle back in the PS4 days. We've now got our second ever female driver. She starts on pole tonight after a bit of miscommunication about the ID number. What a chance for her to take a win on debut.
Yeah, very much so. Good opportunity for her, and it's just, can she just run off into the distance? It'd be great to get her SimPlay debut done underway, but you'll see what she can do. But nonetheless, she has signed up. She's going to give it a good go and see what she can do. In practice, she was mid-pack, but Ian Best is there, as is Jamie, two very fast drivers, as is Michael. We keep an eye on that Nissan GTR as they now feed their way into the final corner.
Into the final corner they come then for the first time this evening. Two races, let's not forget, around this fantastic circuit here in Suzuka. And for the third race, first race of the evening, round 17, what is going to happen here? It's going to be an interesting one, to say the least. Ellie starts on pole. It is a Ferrari from the BMW of Ian Best on the front row of the grid. What will happen though at turn 1 as we off around 17, green and go, drive through penalty early on for Brian Craig. That's early on in this race, so he's got a bit of work to do now with the rest of it, but already a good start. And if we look down towards the helicopter camera, you're seeing there Ellie managing to stay in the lead. Jamie's got up the inside then of that of Ian Best. Tank, who's back, we've got to mention Darren Bell is back after a month hiatus due to moving to Ireland. He was having a look up the inside and Best in towards the S as he goes. Michael's lost out already at the start, down towards the mid-pack a little bit. Kieran Argent getting in there with Robert Ramsell. DJ Phil just in front as well, so Kieran Argent's lost out a little bit. Casper Ollins dropped to the back of the pack. There's a yellow flag there, I believe that was Gary Clauble. That's a 208. Just a 204 as well. So was that Richie Michelle involved? He has been involved. No, he hasn't been involved in any incident, sorry. So he's managed to keep going. Steve Peck is also off, but drivers already having lap 1 nightmares. Casper Ollin involved in that one, but a good start out front already from Elidan. She's managed to do the job she needed.
Yeah, she has, but she's got Jamie already hunting her down, and they just got to get away from it. Best at the minute just holding everyone up, and it was all sorts of chaos. Richie Michelle, Mirko Ritchie, Dennis Hansen, Casper Ollin, and also Old Sim Racer all being affected towards the back of the pack, and Casper Ollin's got major damage to his car. But I'm not sure what actually happened, but there was absolute carnage towards the back for the championship, and Richie Michelle was in the gravel and in the dirt.
So Richie Michelle struggling already. Good evening to Fury's granddad, Paul Williams. Rob's Auto is here, goes Tank to the outside of Spoon, but you're not going to get that done there. Robert Ramsell, Tips, and Jamal Clouden as well as Peaceful Stepdad. And you're right, big thanks to Hypertech for the graphics. They look absolutely insane. Good evening to PM Motorsport as well. As Darren Bell now coming under pressure from Rob Smith, but Jamie's trying to hunt down that of Ellie. Here's Darren Bell and Rob Smith. Now that grunt of the Nissan is going side by side with Rob Smith in towards 130R. Huge moment. The Nissan up the inside. Lovely move that from Michael. Brave stuff, and he makes it work.
He does indeed, and the Nissan GTR goes through. Now Monkey Boy on the attack over Rob Smith as well. Up the inside he goes, and that Ferrari 488 is just being mugged left, right, centre. Argent, who looked quick there, he's flashing the lights, and he's contact with Gomez. You want to focus more on driving there, Argent, rather than flashing your lights, as he does make another position from there. But is Ellie leading the way and got a second gap over Jamie. Those two comfortably in front as the GTR now looking to attack Darren Bell into turn number 1. Nicely, Darren Bell back and racing. He'd done a great job last night in the GT4s, as Robert Ramsell is now going wheel to wheel with Freed, who's very laggy, and he is all over the shot there. And I think the drivers really have to be cautious about him there. But Richie Michelle, not the start of his race he would have wanted. He is right down in the pack and got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, and he's got a bit of damage on the front end of that car as well as Richie Michelle, so work to do, like you say. Michael, though, is on the back of that of Darren Bell at the moment. Like you say, great to have Darren Bell back after his move to Ireland. He's now looking to get back to returning back onto racing ways, and great result for him last night, P3 in that third race, as he's just gone a little deep. What's happened, Dan?
Rob Smith's had a moment through Degner 1, which has rear-ended his line into Degner 2, and he's dropping down the order. Meanwhile, DJ Phil's under some immense pressure from Clarbo, and Luke Saunders come together.
Yep, they've been tapped into the wall there, and that is a shame to see there. And it's going to be an interesting one as Gary Clarble now has to wait on that hairpin corner. He's trying to reverse it back to get a better entry out of the grass there. Michael, though, still on the back of Darren Bell. He's lost a bit of time as Darren Bell's actually looking to the inside. Had a bit of a sniff there on that of Ian Best. He's now had a wiggle through the second part of Spoon Corner. And now that of Michael can once again use that Nissan horsepower to try and get up the inside. This is going to be on board with Michael on the bonnet, on the cockpit view, the dashboard camera from Michael's car, coming up to 130R. He's not quite alongside Darren Bell like he was the Ferrari 488. Down a gear, who carries a lot more momentum through 130R to the outside now of the chicane. Is he going to have a look? No, Bell places his car right in the middle of the road and lets him back out, lets him just to fend from that corner. Monkey Boy and Argent coming with them, as is Francisco. Rob Smith in the wall again, down on the exit of 130R.
Not good. He's trying to get that car going and out of the way as comes Klarbel and also comes Robert Ramsel looking to work their way back up past the Ferrari, but can't seem to do so at the minute. A little bit chaotic here at Suzuka, probably because of these slipperier conditions. Jamie, meanwhile, is now putting Ellie under pressure. 7/10 is the gap, but she's holding her own at the minute, while Casper Olin has been in the pits and dropped right in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, it's dropped right in the middle of the pack. Argent's had a moment, and we just watched Luke Saunders get through. There is Argent returning to the track, so he's having great pace early on in this race, but he's made a mistake. There is Casper Olin, who's a lap down, had huge damage to that car. Where did Argent come back out there? Just ahead then of that of Friedel, so just behind Lando Norris. So Kieran Argent, who looks a little slippery in that car at the moment. Michael, though, is still all over the back of that of Darren Bell. Darren Bell's got Monkey Boy and now Francisco behind him. Ian Best being able to just keep away from that pack as well. But like you say, it's Ellie from Jamie, from Ian Best, Darren Bell from Michael as they come up towards the hairpin corner for that second time. The pit window, Dan, has just opened. As Darren Bell's gone very wide, chucks it back in. That puts Michael offline a little bit. A moment there for Darren Bell. Now through 200R comes the Nissan, and he just can't get alongside and past that of the Mercedes-Benz. Different car to the Ferrari. The Mercedes with a bit more grunt with that front engine power, and that is helping Darren Bell at the moment stay in front of the Nissan.
Yeah, what's helping him all out at the minute is just Ian Best is just not disappearing. He's stable. He's not really under pressure from Darren Bell. He's the one absorbing all this pressure at the minute and has got all these cars chasing him down. Meanwhile, Lando Norris onto the back of Player Man. He's got John Goudet and Argent now behind him as Frida's into the pits. Now also Richie Michelle has cleared the cars behind. No, he's onto the back of Argent. Frida went to the pit, so he's not really cleared anything. As DJ Phil, meanwhile, in the background is all over the grass as Paul Williams now gets past him, and he's got Rob Smith right behind him.
Yeah, he has indeed. Justin Winters also in the pit lane. That's John Gooday, who's recovering on the outside of 130R. Good evening to NR Andy, who is in the chat. DJ Phil's deep in the chicane, and now they all try and come through, and it just kind of congests up. But where is Richie Michelle? He's up to 30th place. He's into the pit lane, Dan. So a lot of cars deciding to pit early on. That of Darren Bell and Michael, though, they've exchanged places. And what has happened to Darren Bell? Because he's dropped behind now into the path of Luke Saunders, and Luke Saunders trying to find a way through, and he's giving it a flash of the lights.
Yeah, possibly flash into the car in front, maybe. Casper Olin possibly being a bit of a pain. I'm not sure. We don't know exactly what happened, but we'll have to find out later on. But nonetheless, he is dropped down the order, and now he's under pressure from the BMW that's behind him. But meanwhile, Ellie and Jamie just at the minute, just yo-yoing backwards and forwards. 1 minute it's a second, next minute it's a 10th, and Francesco Gomez has got a stop and go, and also Lando Norris right behind them on pit exit. Monkey Boy has jumped everyone, and he's now the leading pitter. Richie Michelle, meanwhile, has to clear these cars at the same time. Well,
that's a shame, Francisco Gomez, because he was in that fight with Monkey Boy, Tank, Kieran Argent, and then that of Michael as well, but he's not going to be able to get the jump now because he's got that stop-go penalty. So Monkey Boy's done well in the pit stop. He's managed to gap Francisco 2 seconds here, and Luke Saunders still putting that pressure onto the back of Michael. Dennis Hansen, though, who really needs a good week of points over Richie Michelle to claw back in this championship. He's on the back of Kieran Argent here as they enter towards Spoon now. The McLaren 720S Evo on the back of the BMW M4 of Kieran Argent, and down through Spoon they go. Kieran's car just looking a little twitchy here at times, and the gap up front once again opens up. Ellie's got the fastest lap of the race here, Dan, so she's proving that she's no slouch at the moment and has come to race amongst the top dogs here in Pro-Am.
Yeah, definitely so, and she's looking comfortable as well. She's not flustered at all, and on a second it's quite difficult. Meanwhile, Dennis Hansen needs to make a decision here and now. If Argent pits, he either needs to stay out, or if Argent stays out, he needs to pit, because this is the key to his race at the minute. Argent pits, he stays out. He needs that clean air, while Richie Michelle is behind other cars. And at the minute, Richie Michelle not caught Lando Norris yet. He's got a bit of damage to his car as well. but we'll see how he gets on, as Darren Bell has now pitted as well, so we'll see where all this pans out, because Monkey Boy is your lead car, but he's under some pressure from Francesco, who still yet to do his stop and go.
Yeah, Francisco's managed to pull away then from that of Lando Norris, and Monkey Boy is the man now who's under some pressure. In towards the chicane they come. Darren Bell still yet to go green here in this first race. Argent's gone green before Darren Bell, so Argent going to get the jump on Darren Bell here. What has happened to Darren Bell? Francisco's into the pits. Here comes Darren Bell now, but Monkey Boy is coming down the start-finish straight, as is that of Lando Norris and then Mirko Ricci, and down the pit straight they come as the camera pans out. Argent has jumped Bell, and they lose out to Lando Norris and to Richie Michel there then. But Monkey Boy still then the lead car from the pit lane. And at the moment, it is a Team Tom sandwiching Robert Ramsell in the middle of the pair of them as they enter into the Degner 2. An old sim race there, nearly giving Robert Ramsell a bit of a tap up the rear.
Well, Arjun was the indicator there to where about roughly Richie Michel was.
Robert Ramsell's in the wall. Sorry, Dan. Ramsell in the wall. I think he's touched the curb on the entry into the hairpin, and it's just flung him into the wall. Damage already on that Ferrari, and that's going to be even more for his troubles.
Yeah, easily done there, easily done. He's got damage to the rear wing of that car, and he's going to be struggling altogether. But now Ian Best is starting to become under some pressure from the Godzilla of the GTR, hunting him down. What a beast of a car this is. This is the Camaro of GT3.
Great to see the Nissan.
Yeah, not a very favoured car, but it's definitely one that's a little bit underrated at times, as Best has a moment. Michael has to make a decision. He then stays out as Best comes into the pit lane, as has Jamie, as Ellie stays out for another lap by the looks of things. But yeah, Dennis Hansen now in. This is going to be interesting because Richie Michel and Dennis Hansen were around Argent. He's now cleared them, and he's now onto the back of Monkey Boy and Lando Norris. So this should be really interesting and where they all feed out.
It should indeed. Ellie's also just put a lap on Francisco there, so that stop-go penalty has really hurt him. In towards 130R comes Monkey Boy and Lando Norris and that of Richie Michel. Monkey Boy not using as much of the exit as the other two cars behind him. Just merely that, is he carrying as much speed through 130R as the others behind then? So it's Ellie from Michael, from Luke Saunders, from Playerman, Rob Smith, Old Sim Racer are your top runners. Jamie, by the way, has done his pit stop. He's in and out and gone. Dennis Hansen's done, so has Ian Best. Drive-through penalty, stop-go penalty for Ian Best. Hansen and Best got the jump on Monkey Boy as well, did they? Whoa! Very tight and very close coming through turn one, but Monkey Boy has got the jump on both of them now. So Monkey Boy, great early pit stop from him. Ian Best, though, not really in that fight anymore. He's the one who's got to go back in for a stop-go penalty. Robert Ramsell is now into the pit lane, and we have lost a driver, and I believe that was Friedel then, who has disconnected from the lobby.
Hansen's hit Monkey Boy.
Oh, and Lando Norris has now collected Monkey Boy.
And Richie Michel's in the middle of all
this. Oh, and Argent's off as well.
Yeah, Argent's gone off. Monkey Boy is still hanging into that position, but Richie Michel up the inside. Argent's gone round again. But, yeah, that all started off with Dennis Hansen hitting the back of Monkey Boy, and around he went.
Luke Saunders has got ahead of Michael somewhere as well, Dan. Just looking on the timing screens, that Luke Saunders is now up into second place. So that all started with Dennis Hansen there. A chaos of errors there from the drivers in the mid-pack coming through the S's. And, well, that's going to grant Darren Bell a couple of places. I think he got past Argent. Monkey Boy stayed ahead of that of Richie Michel. Lando Norris has got some major damage to his car. Dennis Hansen's managed to stay in front of all of them as well. But it's Jamie now, your lead pitter. Ellie's into the pits with 2 minute 31 left to go on the clock. Clearly didn't fancy running that extra lap. I assume Luke Saunders, yes, he's in. Michael's in. I assume the others behind are going to follow suit and not try and run that extra lap. Playerman comes into the pits now. So now let's keep our eyes on Jamie as opposed to Ellie. Where are they? Ellie's already done her stop down. Jamie's now breaking into the chicane. And your race leader exiting down the pit lane now as Jamie comes out the final part of the chicane. Ellie, oh, he's had a moment as well. Ellie's off the limiter. She's got a huge lead.
Yeah, comfortable. Luke Saunders has now gone green as well, so he's looking quite comfortable. Michael's there as well, but they've not gone green at this stage. But Ellie comfortably back into the race lead as Jamie goes into second place. As where is everyone else? There is Dennis Hansen. He's got Ian Best, and Monkey Boy has been passed by Richie Michel now. So Richie Michel has lost the position to Monkey Boy, and the 79, that is Ian Best. He's still yet to serve his stop and go as they all come flooding out of the pits. The Best goes a little bit wide, and more importantly, Dennis Hansen Hansen has cleared Luke Saunders and Michael, and that's 3 cars now between him and Richie Michelle.
Obviously, he'll go down a number when Ian Best decides to come in for that stop-go penalty, but he's got Richie Michelle right behind him at the moment as Richie Michelle nearly ploughs into the back there of Ian Best and trying to go around the outside. Not the easiest place to overtake is the S's there. You've got to have faith in both drivers' ability to get the move done in the S's, and Richie Michelle just being held a little bit here. He's got the pace, but just can't do anything with it at the moment. Down the order to Darren Bell. He's got what says he's Argent, but Argent's not there. Argent's further back, so he's had another moment here. Darren Bell has got that of, I believe that is the old sim racer just behind him, with then Justin Winter. We've not really seen much in this race. He was at the back due to an earlier incident at the start of his race. In fact, he's a lap down in this fight, Dan.
Yeah, he is indeed, and yeah, he got caught up in all sorts of silly incidences earlier on in the race. Had damage as well, so he's probably hit twice already.
He's tapped round, Rob. Who's behind Darren Bell? It is the old sim racer. Justin Winter's just tapped him round at the hairpin. So Justin Winter, a lap down, has tapped round the back of old sim racer there. That is awful from Justin Winter on the old sim racer there, and has really dropped old sim racer down the order.
Richie Michelle has now passed Ian Best as well. I mean, that was coming anytime soon because Ian Best needed to do his stop and go, but he has now cleared him doing it into Spoon, and he's got to try and hunt down Michael, Luke Saunders and Dennis Hansen. Can Dennis Hansen bring the gap down to Jamie? Because 7.7, 5 minutes to go, probably unlikely, but Ellie out front,
just about
well
to say,
in control and in demanding of this. Fastest lap has gone to Gomez, so not quite the full sweep there for
Richie Michelle there's just had to cut the final chicane as Ian Best lunged on him into the final chicane. But I was just going to say, Dan, Ellie, what a pit stop from her. The gap was only 3 seconds when Jamie came into the pits. It's now gone up 6, so what a stop from Ellie there in that one. Lando Norris has now been overtaken by Playerman. He's got Darren Bell not far behind him. Just behind Darren Bell is that of Argent and Gary Clarble, and then Rob Smith, who is trying to come through. But damage on a few of the cars. John Gooday has managed to clear DJ Phil. And Justin Winter is now on the back to try and unlap himself from DJ Phil. Justin Winter's got to be careful now. He's already hit one lead car as Mirko Ritchie's back into the pit lane dance. That's going to drop him down the order.
Yeah, it is, and that's going to not help their team championship as Dennis Hansen is now in third. Where is Casper Olin? Casper Olin is down the order as well, so it doesn't lose out too much, but nonetheless, it's still points he's given away. As Richie Michelle is going to try and hunt down Michael, who's hunting down Luke Saunders, and Luke Saunders quietly minding his own business. Richie Michelle just had a massive moment out of Degner 2.
Got all over the outside.
I've never seen that Lambo go so sideways.
No,
Justin Winter driving it.
He got all over the curve there on the outside, did Richie Michelle, but Michael here putting on an impressive display in this Nissan. Clearly got a bit of pace. Stop go cleared for Ian Best. Then he comes back out onto the track, and that'll allow Mirko Ritchie, who's still in the pit lane at the moment, so clearly damage to that car. This could allow Casper Olin to get a little closer to Mirko Ritchie, and that would help in that team's championship, just close up a little bit more. But great display from Luke Saunders and Michael in this first race, especially to come through the pack. Ellie's opened the gap back up. That's 11.9 seconds now. She's going to have 2 laps left of this race. Michael's on the back there. We've got Lando Norris, who's now just cleared that of Playerman. And then down the order, no real other battles happening at the moment. Best is out in front. Gomez is in front of the pair with him.
Oh! Sorry, Lando Norris and Playerman. Playerman had a great run, but it hit the grass and curb. It just launched himself into the wall on the left-hand side.
So where's Lando Norris out of all that? He's gone. So Playerman, huge moment. Tank's now looking up the inside into the final chicane, but patiently waits for a better option there. This is all for a top 10 spot as well. Kieran Argent's not a million miles behind these two. So the more these two fight, the more Kieran Argent's going to fancy his chances. Michael's within 0.2 of a second. And that Nissan down on Japanese soil, just proving how good a car it can be. Michael is absolutely flying at the moment.
He is indeed.
Ellie, Ellie's took the fastest lap back from Francisco.
She has indeed. No one in her way, no troubles, no weaknesses, and she's on her way. Richie Michelle, who I thought was going to take fastest lap, he's got clean air at the minute. He can't do anything with his Lambo. He's probably got too much damage at the minute. Dennis Hansen is trying to hunt down Jamie at the minute, who's got Casper Olin right on his back bumper, and the gap now 5.8. He's not going to do it in time, but Dennis Hansen really trying to hunt down Jamie, and Casper Olin's probably helping him out here just by being a bit of a nuisance.
Yeah, probably by being a bit of a nuisance. Mirko Ritchie is back out on the circuit. He's just come out the pit lane. Justin Winter's now had a moment through turn 1. So he's got to carry some damage for the rest of this race. And now look at Kieran Argent making a move up the inside of Degner too. He's got damage to the front of his car. Tucks back in behind that of Darren Bell, who's trying to make a move. On that, a player man has a bit of a wiggle into the hairpin, manages to get it all saved. Does Darren Bell. Argent trying to get the better exit. Now he has a moment outside the corner. And Dan, you were saying in testing yesterday, and a few of the drivers have been saying off air today, this track is very, very slippery.
Yeah, there's not a lot of grip out there today, especially with these cloudy conditions. Track temperature's only 12 degrees, so it's pretty cold out there as well. So struggling just to keep tyre temperature is probably what they are having right now, as Ellie will start her final lap here with a gap of 14 seconds. She's been looking mighty here as Dennis Hansen comes into the final chicane, trying to bring that gap down to Jamie, but can't do so. But Michael still on the back of Luke Saunders. This where the GTR might get the run. Luke Saunders gone wide, and the Nissan holds on the inside line, and Luke Saunders probably correcting, and they're coming down the main straight. Here they come, and Michael, he's not quite far enough alongside. He's gonna get the job done into turn number 1. Not got the confidence on the brakes though.
No, but he's come back at him mid-corner. Luke Saunders gave him too much respect there, and Michael swoops up the inside underneath the BMW where Luke Saunders moves himself into P4. And Dan, I was just checking, we did have E. McKizzle on the podium a few seasons ago back on the PS4 days. She never won a race. This would be our first female winner for Ellie, so what a job that would be from her. Great drive from who's that in the pit lane? Who's that? Is that car number 8? That is John Gooday, who I think has returned to the pits, Dan, because
are you sure?
no, he's came out the pit lane.
No. He's come from the inside of the wall, I think. I don't think he's come out pit lane. I don't think he's come out of the pits.
Okay. There was definitely a yellow flag around him, so I wasn't sure if he'd returned to the pits or not. Richie Michelle now, by the way, is on the back of Luke Saunders. Can Luke Saunders hang on in there for this final lap to get on top 5 here in this race? It's going to be an interesting one to see as they all come towards the end for this round 17 race of the season, and what a day it has been so far for that of Ellie. Jamie as well, could be a great podium for Jamie, let's not forget, and Dennis Hansen could score some big points back here as well, Dan.
Yeah, he can, as Ellie's coming into the chicane. Just keep an eye on Richie Michelle. He's there or thereabouts on Luke Saunders, but Saunders has got him covered. But Ellie exiting the final quarter now, and what a drive from her, from lights to flag. No one bothered her. She's taking the win here.
Ellie then comes towards the line, and on her debut at SimPlay Motorsport, wins for the first time. Jamie, who has just missed the chicane there a little bit, he's going to come home and take a P2. Great drive from Jamie as well. Didn't have an answer for the race win, but still a podium for the young man, which is his second podium of the season. It was third, though, first time out. It's now second here today. It's Dennis Hansen who's going to come across for P3 in a great drive for him in the McLaren, followed by that of Michael in the Nissan. Luke Saunders just ahead of Richie Michelle. Monkey Boy, a decent 7th place for Monkey Boy. Good drive from 10th on the grid. Lando Norris is going to come across for P8 out of all of this, ahead of Player Man in 9th. Argent managed to get past Darren Bell at the very end, as it looks like did Gary Clauble. Darren Bell will cross the line for P12 from Old Sim Racer 13th. Here comes Rob Smith in the old 488 Ferrari. That is P14 for him. Paul Williams will now come to the line for P15. Casper Olin has already finished a lap down in 25th. And look at this gaggle of cars. Paul Williams from then that of Brian Craig, DJ Phil, John Gooday down in 18th. Steve Peck with damage to his BMW. I'm sure we'll see a bit more from him in race 2. He's going to come across the line for 19th. As that is Mirko Ricci a lap down just behind Robert Ramsell, P20. Mirko Ricci 24th. Justin Winter down in 23rd as well, as Francisco there just has a little wiggle for his troubles out the final corner. And down towards the start line he comes now for 21st, and Ian Best, oh bless him, he was 3rd place for so long, just had a moment through the final bend. He's going to come to the line for 22nd, but positives for Ian Best can take out his first race, because he did well to hang on in that first stint.
Yeah, he did indeed, but it just fell apart from him after the pit stops as well. So nonetheless, he makes it home in one piece, as Stephen Millington does get into the session as well. Yeah, what a dramatic race. DJ Phil's still on track at the minute, but Ellie, our new race winner, and she takes pole. Obviously, she would have been on pole, but she takes fastest lap as well, as close to a Grand Slam as you can get.
Yeah, as close to a Grand Slam as you can go. Well, it's pretty much a Race 1 Grand Slam, isn't it? The winning fastest lap. We, though, will be back in a few moments' time. Don't go anywhere. Here for the second race of the afternoon, and what a race it is going to be here. Qualifying time though at the moment, the first car out on the circuit is the 501 of Robert Ramsell, whose teammate is in the lobby as well. Stephen Millington is back in. Hopefully we can get Sam in towards the end. We have not got the return of Friedel, then he will be missing from this one with internet problems. A couple of drivers now cannot win that championship, neither can some of the teams at the moment. Speedy Gonzalez have just been eliminated from that. So Team Richie Corsa still leading, 173 points clear of that of Team Danetrain with Stage 2 Motorsport in third place. Greasy Bandits Racing at P4 with Forever Forward in P5. Team Thomas Sick ahead of Team FBR. Cam Racing at P8 with Roadrunner Bandits P9. Team Merlo in 10th with McLaren Racing. Naval Racing Team 2. Speedy Gonzalez who can't win it. Greasy Bandits Junior who can't win it. And the Wind Up Motorsport team who can't win it. Drivers' Championship wise, then Richie Michelle, 641 points to his name, with Dennis Hansen on 482. Robert Smith on 436 with Justin Winter 433. 432 points for the old sim race from that top 5 spot for promotion is hotting up at a rate of knots. Steve Beck's P6 with Joan Gooday's P7. Sam is in P8 with Gary Clarble 9th. Lando Norris P10 with Paul Williams in 11th. Mirko Ricci P12 from Cass Broll in 13th. Luke Saunders in 14th with Robert Ramsell up to 15th place. Then it's Brian Craig, Stephen Millington, Playerman Francisco and Monkey Boy rounding out the top 20. Kieran Argent is 21st from Rob Smith. DJ Phil from Cranky Duckhead. Darren Bell from Michael. The Jackal P20 at 7. Jamie Graham. Ellie moves up the order quite a bit already. Dean Vigas. Matt Hicks from Ian Best. Dean Wasocki, Lucas and Friedel then down the bottom end of the grid. So it's qualifying time now, and it's going to be an interesting qualifying session. We're on board with Robert Ramsell, who is the first driver out there in qualifying to set a lap time, so see what he can do along this amazing circuit here. Then good evening to Old Sim Racer in the chat, taken out twice in that race, not impressed. So hopefully, these drivers are going to submit tickets and other bits to see what they can do in this race, and see what obviously the stewards will look at throughout this one as well. As we head into this qualifying session, the win for Ellie in the Ferrari means that Ferrari now are on 35 race wins, with Jamie's podium and Dennis Hansen's podium. McLaren go on to 284 podiums. That keeps them one ahead of the Porsche, who got a couple last night. And Ferrari getting its 134th podium, tying it with the Bentley in that one there then. So a great night to see. And if I just look at the weekly roundup, this race, no pole for Porsche yet. McLaren didn't win that one. And Ferrari did, I do believe, get its 1,000th race start. Yes, they did. They got their 1,000th race start here then. So to Apex, I've missed it again. Good luck everyone, back for a race next week. Hopefully so, it'd be shame to not see you out there. Hopefully we get you back in for the GT Force as well at the end of the season though. But Robert Ramsell is coming up towards the final chicane, and I believe now we have Dan Davis back in the box after being able to get a quick drink in the mid-session break. Robert Ramsell just bouncing over the curb as he comes down the final bend towards the start-finish line, and what lap time is he going to be able to put on the board for us? First one of the evening. He comes to the line now and puts in a 2:02.6. He's got to go again to improve that one, because that will more than likely, and already has been beaten.
It has indeed, and yeah, it's going to be an interesting qualifying session here. Probably one of the hardest circuits to nail a lap around here, and we know what Richie Michelle can do in that Lamborghini. So but he's still got to do it though. He may have done it in practice, but obviously qualifying happens quite quick, and I will be keeping an eye on where he is currently at the minute. He is going down the main straight and has not put a lap time on the board.
No, but we didn't see a 59 in practice. Yes, we didn't see a 59 in practice. And Ellie's broken the 2-minute barrier. So, Richie Michelle, I think you've got competition, my friend, today for pole position, because Ellie has come to play here in this one. And I don't think we've seen many 59s all week in the Pro-Am sort of testing. What a lap time.
59 yet. Wow.
I think Mike Matthews will be on the Discord messages for a setup here.
I mean, she obviously messaged her, try not to be too much about her being a girl and everything, but when she goes and does moments like that, we might have to talk about her more. Because, wow,
I think the thing is, as well, is, you know, debutante driver, we're not used to seeing debutante drivers at this stage of the season. We're used to seeing Richie Michelle banging on pole, be pretty dominant, and it's just a surprise, you know.
Yeah, that's it.
Regardless of gender, you know, it's a surprise to see someone challenge Richie Michelle, and that lap there, a second quicker than Dennis Hansen, who's no slouch. That's a statement.
Yeah, Dennis Hansen, obviously second in the championship, the one trying to hunt down Richie Michelle. Gary Clarble, Casper Olin, all very fast drivers. Stephen Millington as well. All these guys, very quick drivers in the Pro-Am category, and she's going to bang that lap time out. That's mental.
That is impressive. Brilliant. As Lando Norris comes towards the line, he moves up into P5 before Robert Ramsell's going to come and complete his second flying lap of the session. And a great start to the day then for the Ferrari driver. PN in the chat, very, very impressive, he says, as here comes Robert Ramsell. Only improves a little bit. I'm trying to see who's just behind Dennis Hansen. Can't quite see the number of the car. So we'll see as Dennis Hansen comes round. It is that of Steve Beck then, who is on a lap time now. So where will Steve Beck end up?
Just behind all this as well. And he's got Richie Michelle breathing down his neck.
Steve Beck up into 6th place. Good lap there from Steve Beck. Here comes Paul Williams with Richie Michelle. Richie Michelle wanting that slipstream. Richie Michelle just over a 10th off the back of pole position at the moment.
Yeah, and Ellie's on pole for the minute, and that was helped with a little bit of slipstream from Paul Williams as well. So let's see what Richie Michelle can do with a little bit of clean air now. But yeah. And Ellie's gone out again, so she reckons she can find more time out there, as Dennis Hansen has really got his hands full at the moment. Stephen Millington up there, any lap times really coming in. Justin Winter is into the final chicane, but he's currently on an invalid lap. It's Player Man who's now coming to the final chicane to set a lap time and see what he can pop on the board.
Well, Ian Best just gone up into 17th. Here comes Player Man now, keeping our eyes on. Because of that figure 8 thing, it's hard to see which cars are coming round until they get to the chicane. So here comes Player Man to put a lap time on the board. Where's this going to put him? It puts him into P16. Next car on a valid lap time is that a Lando Norris, sorry, who's currently in P9 in the McLaren. And rounding into the chicane he comes now, but the top two well clear of Dennis Hansen at the moment. They are in a world of their own around Suzuka so far.
Don't count out Lando Norris and Dennis Hansen. That McLaren, yes, it may not been the dominant car anymore, but it's still a very, very good race car on ACC, and we can still see it produce decent lap times as Lando goes into the top 4 there, splitting the team Dane Train cars, as Casper Olin is now coming out of the final corner, and he has got Robert Ramsell just in front of him as well, who's on an invalid lap, and just behind him is Brian Craig as well. Casper Olin, does he improve? He does, and goes back ahead of Lando Norris. Craig now goes back ahead of Lando Norris as well, as Lando's off the track at the minute.
Good qualifying session this for Brian Craig at the moment. We've not seen him have too many good qualifying sessions this season, but up there P5 currently. Here comes Francisco towards the line, goes up into P3. Good lap time there from the BMW. What about this for Steve Beck now? He moves up into P5. So just every single lap this is happening around this circuit, it seems to be getting quicker, as Richie Michelle now takes pole by 20 thousandths of a second.
That's nothing. That is absolute, and he's in traffic now. Where is Ellie on track? She has got only Lando Norris in front of her, so a very good opportunity as well for clear track. She can get a good lap time on the board, but that was mightily impressive. And Richie Michelle has to work for this. He has to get pole position now.
He does, as Kieran Argent moves up into P11 here. Then we're looking at car number 8. That is John Gooday, currently down in 15th place. On a next lap, the 99 has returned to the pits. That's Monkey Boy. I believe Richie Michelle is also in the pits. Here comes John Gooday towards the line then. On his next lap, goes up to P15. So not a great time of it at the minute for John Gooday. The 4:10 is on.
Who's on track?
Who?
Michael.
Oh, he is. He is. He's qualifying. Yeah. Go on, Michael. He's into the chicane now.
He is indeed, and a few cars still can't get a lap time on the board. He is currently got a blue dot, but obviously when you don't set a lap time, sometimes that means that absolutely nothing, and he probably is on an invalid lap, but he is going to come to the line. Is he going to lap time on the board? And no, he's not, because I did see him run wide at 130R, as Richie Michelle has got a little bit of traffic as he comes back out, but Ellie's now coming to the line, and I think this is a valid lap. She's going to try and improve on it.
Oh, yes, there we go! Mid-59s now! And it's 0.2 of a second quicker than our championship leader at the moment. So the debutant is really pushing at the front of the pack. Imagine if this had been all season, what a championship fight would have had. Casper Ollins just moved back up into P3.
I think I might go deaf. I think PN obviously gets used to me putting it on pole and listening to Matt go deaf. I think Ellie's going to possibly make me go deaf.
Stephen Beck towards the line now. What can he do? 1.3 currently off the pole at the minute. Stephen Beck, has he found any more? But damn, this track seems to be getting quicker and quicker at the moment.
Yeah, track seems to be rubbering in a little bit more as they all just do a couple more laps, but they'll soon hit a wall. Mirko Ricci finally gets a lap time on the board, and he goes 7th now. Justin Winter still can't seem to get a lap time on the board. He's got an invalid lap at the minute. Where's Michael? He's invalidated as well. Darren Bell, he's on a lap, so he's one to watch out for. Luke Saunders gets a lap time on the board. He goes 11th, and there also goes Stephen Millington. He now goes into 6th place.
Here comes Darren Bell in towards the final chicane. Argent's up to 8th. Here comes Darren Bell then into the final chicane. There's 3.5 minutes left of this qualifying, so 3.5 minutes to find improvements throughout this circuit. A couple of cars in the pit lane. Darren Bell towards the line now. Let's see what Darren Bell can do here. Goes up to 21st. Next car on a valid lap is the 180. That is out of Paul Williams, who's down in 19th place. And yeah, what an interesting start to qualifying in this one. As Paul Williams now rounding...
No improvement from Richie Michelle. He didn't improve.
No, didn't improve. So he's only got a little bit of time left to go. Here comes Paul Williams to the line. He improves up into P16. Jamie's coming towards the line now. He's P18 at the moment. He now moves up into P15. Just behind them is the 99 of Monkey Boy. Let's see if he finds an improvement here. He doesn't find anything. There's Ellie in the background. Has she got any more time in the bag as she comes towards the line now? Anything left in the locker? Not this time around. What about Lando Norris? There's no improvement from him. The 63 in the background. Keep your eye on Old Sim Racer jumping up the order. And he did jump up the order up into P5. Good lap from Old Sim Racer there.
Does the same lap time as Francesco Gomez there, so he's found some time. Who's next into the far end of the circuit? It is Mirko Ricci now coming through the chicane. The second Lamborghini driver, can he get any higher up and join his teammate as they go through the chicane? But seems to be struggling once again just to be on terms of pace here. Currently 1.2 off the pace of his teammate, but he tries to get a good exit and a good run. Gary Klarball's behind, but he's on an invalid lap time. To the line comes Mirko Ricci, and he goes up to 6th now.
Not a bad qualifying lap there for Mirko Ricci. The 59 is coming around to corner. Stephen Millington again, who's exiting the final part of the circuit. Good evening to Max Mulder in the chat. Here comes Stephen Millington to the line. Has he found any improvement? No, he does not this time around. Next up is the 204, and that is Justin Winter, who's still not got a lap time on the board.
He just needs to get this lap time done, and the slowest of them all is Michael at the minute, as he is on a lap time. But Justin Winter, through the chicane, he comes, and he's got Darren Bell following him right behind, but he's on an invalid lap time as he goes to the inside for the shortest run, but it's right down the far end of the line. Justin Winter goes 18th, but it's a lap time on the board, more importantly.
That is more important. Here comes Richie Michelle. He'll get one more run in after this, and Richie Michelle towards the line now. Does he improve? He does. Goes within 800ths of a second, so we've got a fight here for pole position between Ellie and Richie Michelle. Paul Williams to the line now. He'll get one more run in himself. Crosses the line, improves up to P15. What about the 99, a Monkey Boy? He's the next to the line. It says he's on an invalid lap. We'll keep our eyes on him though. Currently down in 19th place. Has he improved any this time around? No, he does not. What about Ellie? Can she find any more? She'll get one more run in here. She finds another 0.2 of a second, and she's done for the day. Parks the car up in qualifying as drivers all coming towards the end of their laps now. The 501 of Robert Ramsell's now coming down towards the line, and Dan, Richie Michelle's on his final run. Ellie's done for qualifying, so it's do or die now for Richie Michelle.
It is do or die. Casper Olin crosses the line, no improvement. Michael, now he's 13 seconds off the pace. He will cross the line and goes in 18th place position. Ian Best now to the line, 5 seconds off. He will cross the line and he does improve. He goes 24th. Then there's Rob Smith in the Ferrari, does not improve. Steve Beck, no improvement for him either. Ellie is done and on pole. And I'm now even more nervous for the pro guys because that lap time is impressive nonetheless. But Luke Saunders out of the final corner now. He's in 13th place position. He comes to the line and he's currently 1.7 off the pace. What can he get in the BMW? He is done after this. Comes to the line. Doesn't improve by much.
No. I don't think he improved a lot there at all. John Gooday will be the next man through to the chicane. He comes now. A lot of yellow flags waving. That'll be because the drivers are starting to finish their qualifying times here. What a lap time this could be. John Gooday, he's not qualified strong in that Mercedes all season. Takes that short run to the line, keeps it as close to the pit wall as he possibly can. The 93's next. John Gooday moves up to 15th place. Good lap for him. Do or die now for Richie Michel. Out the final bend he comes through the middle of the circuit. Here comes Richie Michel in the Lamborghini. It was done by Dan in Pro last year. It's not done by Richie Michel this time out. And there's only 2 drivers on a lap. Dennis Hansen, who's down in 6th, and the 501, that of Robert Ramsell. But it looks like it's going the way of Ellie for pole position. And what a debut start this is to her championship.
It is indeed absolutely brilliant from her. She's on pole at the minute, but we are still awaiting other drivers to come, and Dennis Hansen is one of them. He is one of the quick ones as well as he exits the final corner. Currently 7th at the minute. He needs to improve on that to hold on to his championship chance, and he comes to the line now and he goes 3rd. He gets to within reach of Richie Michel, which is what he needed.
Goes 3rd place, but a 2nd from the back. Brian Craig at the end of that qualified down in 12th position. DJ Phil was down the order as well. Monkey Boy down in 21st, so not good from him there. 26th there for DJ Phil. Richie Michel 2nd. Mirko Richie, as we know, was up the order in 7th place. Paul Williams down in 16th. Steve Beck is in 9th. Sam then, where did Sam qualify? He's not made it in, I don't believe, so Sam has missed today's racing action, unfortunately. Rob Smith is down in... Oh, I can't actually see him. Justin Winter down in 20th. Rob Smith is 25th. Shame for him. Old Sim Racer then is up the order in, I believe, about P5. Yes, he is. Kieran Argent, where did he end up in that qualifying session? He was 10th place, not bad for him. Francisco was in 6th. Best of the BMWs there.
I was intrigued because obviously that lap time from Ellie was very impressive, and very impressive indeed, to the point that I had to go back and see what lap time I did for the pro category last time out we were here at Suzuka. So Ellie's lap time was a 59.5. My pole lap in pro last time out we were here was a 59.6.
30 seconds.
She's a 10th faster than the pole time.
Which means as well, Richie Michel would have been 3rd.
Yes, he would have been 3rd. Overtaken another 2 tenths behind.
So, you know, the front 2 in Pro-Am would have been in the front 3 of Pro. What a qualifying.
Yeah. That just shows how good that lap time was from Ellie.
Yeah, very impressive. She's obviously done it in the first race. Can she convert it here? Casper Olin, good qualifying in 4th. Need to back Dennis Hansen up with a good bit of race pace here in this one. Just going to drop down, see where Player Man is. He is down in 22nd.
I've obviously got the Discord open. I can see what the guys have said. And straight away, Richie Michel puts Ellie, and then the shock face. Tech leader Ellie with exclamation marks. Damn. And she's caused some. She's really ruffled some feathers here. And wow. I mean, we're hoping she was going to join last time out, but sadly, of the complications with all what was going on, we was not expecting this. And this is really. Really impressive from her.
It's put the cat amongst the pigeon. DJ Phil and Jamie have both missed the start. DJ Phil in recent weeks has not been the best at getting onto the start grids, but what that does do is it takes another point away from Richie Michel, and it takes another point away from Dennis Hansen. So that gap of 159 remains as it is. Now, obviously, Ellie's not in the championship hunt. What would she have been able to have done had she been here for the full season? But she's going to want to try and work her way up the standings. That does give, though, Ferrari their 27th pole position. They're now 9 behind the Ginetta in this one then. So we're getting ready for the second race of the day. It's Ellie from Richie Michel. And the bonus here, Dan, as well, and this is taking everything out of this, Ellie's got nothing to lose. She's not in a championship fight. She's not got anything to do with... Richie Michel or Dennis Hansen's fight. She's there for herself. She's there to win races. She's there to put on a show. So, she could become a thorn in Richie Michel and Dennis Hansen's side here.
She can, and like you said, she has nothing to lose. She can go and do anything that she likes at this stage. You know, she is going full-blown aggression if she really wanted to, or, you know, this is, a cat amongst the pigeons. It's really going to cause some real headaches for these championship contenders, because now Richie Michelle would probably think, just off I go into the lead and just disappear and pull away. He's got to race a car now. He's got to race a Ferrari it's not just quick on one lap. As we saw in the sprint race, she disappeared. She drove away. So yeah, this is going to be very, very interesting nonetheless.
It's going to be very interesting nonetheless. And what a debut, eh? We've seen some debuts, and we love crowning new winners. This is one of the more impressive debuts as well that we've seen. Well, we've had a few, Dan, that have popped up and been able to win races. And again, great stuff to see here from Ellie at this stage in the day. What a job it has been. Remember, if you are new to SimPlay Motorsport, please hit that subscribe button and the like if you want to leave us a like here, as well as hitting that bell to be notified when we go live. Myself and Phil Radin will be back in the box tomorrow for Pro around Suzuka. And if you want to check out our fantastic sponsors, please go down to our description below. Design Manchester, producers of vinyl graphics, laser engraved gifts, mugs, printed clothing and much more, including SimPlay Motorsport merchandise. Head over to their Facebook page, or check out Audio Sport, manufacturers of VW Transporter, T4 audio solutions and styling products. Head over to www.audiosport.co.uk. Link to that and their Facebook page is in the description. But Dan has done the prediction for the race winners. If you don't agree with anybody on that list, make sure you comment in the chat who you think will win. Dan, I've kind of stopped doing these over the last few weeks because I have noticed that we have massively jinxed drivers, so I'm not going to ask. I think we're just going to leave it down to the audience. But we're getting ready for this second race, and this is going to be a good one.
It is indeed, and I'm very much looking forward to this one. This should be an exciting race, and we'll see what the new girl can do with the likes of a hungry pack breathing down her neck. But nonetheless, it is a Lamborghini and a Ferrari, an all-Italian front row. Ellie versus Richie going at it into turn number one. Can Dennis Hansen stop Richie from pulling away from him in the championship? That is the question.
DJ Phil's changing something on the setup. That's why he missed the start of the race. But it's round 18 of the season, 24 rounds all in all, but round 18 of the championship. It's green and go here. Richie Michel looks like he's got the better start over him and Ellie as they head down towards turn one. That also looks like Casper Ollin has got a better launch, as does Francisco over Dennis Hansen, and Richie Michel around the outside leads over Ellie in towards turn one. They go, and it's a decent start from the front two as we just drop down towards the midfield. Looks pretty good from Argent's point of view there, and if we drop down a little bit further more, everybody through nice and cleanly. The 53 of DJ Phil has got away, and Jamie now starts to move, but a good start out front. Richie Michel did exactly what he needed to do, Dan, already.
Yeah, he has indeed. He's cleared Ellie, but Ellie will be on the back of him, and like I said, she's got nothing to lose. Meanwhile, Lando Norris is trying to find a way on Brian Craig, but he's got John Goudet right behind him as well. These two have come together quite a few times this season, as Robert Ramsel is right behind John Goudet, and John Goudet's had a wiggle, and that's going to allow Ramsel to have a look onto the outside of the Degner. He's going to try it, and he gets the job done before the corner. So Goudet being nice there and giving him space. As Tim Racer off at the end of tick the two.
Yeah, he's old. That's Darren Bell. Yeah, all three of them off and at the second. Degner's now Mirko Ricci's around at the hairpin. Not sure if he was helped or what, but Mirko Ricci around at the hairpin rejoins and manages to go to the outside of there and gets back into the pack behind that of John Goudet. But it's Richie Michel from Ellie, Dennis Hansen from Casper Ollin. Old Sim Racers now down the pack with Francisco up the order, as is Mirko Ricci. Steve Millington as well doing not too bad. The 64's had a moment, and that 64 is Darren Bell once again out the hairpin, who's had another moment. But already battle started to develop here, and it's the two Team Dane train cars, Dan, of Casper Ollin and Dennis Hansen, who are hammer and tong at the moment with each other. The problem is for Casper, he's got to sit behind his teammate and let Dennis Hansen score them points.
Yeah, he has. He's got to be a rear gunner. Meanwhile, Robert Ramsel in the background is attacking Lando Norris as he comes up to 130R. Can't do the job there. He got a little bit spooked by the looks of things as they go through 130R. Lando Norris.
Oh, where's Mirko Ricci just come from?
Come out over. He just sent it out the outside of the chicane, and John Goudet have to take avoiding action, and out of nowhere he comes, and now Paul Williams is on the move on John Goudet. So John Goudet just dropping down the order rapidly now. Yeah,
just been caught out a bit there, I think, from Mirko Ricci, who nearly gained 2 places.
Mirko's attacking Richie Michel. Sorry,
right. No, you're fine.
I've got I've seen, obviously, I've got a bit of footage as well on board as Ellie looked into making a move on the outside of turn number 1. So Ellie is on the move once again, and Richie Michel is going to be sweating right now.
He is going to be sweating. He's not going to want an incident with the newcomer, who's obviously going to possibly hurt his championship run. He's going to want to just pick up the points as he can go. There's been a spinner down the back. Ian Best is off. I didn't see who else that was. Darren Bell's got huge damage. It was possibly Darren Bell with him as well. The 473 of Jamie had a yellow flag coming through the final corner, but back to the front then. Richie Michel coming under pressure from Ellie. These two have already pulled Danny over the first lap, a 2-second lead over Dennis Hansen. So exactly what these two, what Richie Michel would have wanted is to put some space between him and his championship rival. Kieran Argett's now getting close to the back of Steve Beck. That's for 7th and 8th. And behind them is Gary Clawball, Luke Saunders and Old Sim Racer, all trying to recover at this stage of the circuit. But for Mirko Ritchie, sat behind Robert Ramsell, he's keen to make his way through this pack at the moment.
He is indeed, and he just can't make a way through at this stage. If he didn't get caught up with the incident earlier on, he probably would have been a little bit higher up. But Brian Craig seems to be the cork in the bowl of this train at the minute. And yeah, he's just off the back of the other train, which is being led by Steve Beck, who's had a better start. He seems to be struggling as Casper Ollins made a mistake, and he's now being passed by Francesco Gomez as they come up just before the 130R kink. And he gets that job done easily, and Stephen Millington once again having a fantastic performance.
Yep, Steve Millington showing why he's a really good racer at the moment. He's another one who'd be up there in this championship fight had he been there for the full season. So Francisco moves up to P4 ahead of Cass Brolin, just dropping back down to Gary Clawball. There's a bit of a train forming here behind Stephen Beck, and that's got Kieran Argent, Gary Clawball, Luke Saunders and Old Sim Racer all in this little train. Mirko Ritchie still looking on the back of Robert Ramsell. No, he's not, because Robert Ramsell's off at the chicane. So Ritchie's through, Goude's through, Michael is through, Paul Williams is through, Rob Smith didn't get past. And where's Monkey Boy? He must have had a moment this lap because he's down in 23rd, and DJ Phil's on. In fact, he's just got past DJ Phil.
He has indeed. Meanwhile, Richie Michel takes fastest lap of the race, but he has not pulled away. 4 tenths is still the gap to the Ferrari of Ellie, and we'll see how they handle these challenging conditions here, and also what they're going to do with strategy-wise. Who knows what's going to happen? But Casper Ollin now back onto the rear of Gomez. The McLaren very good in the tight, twisty stuff. The downforce and chassis really helps it out. For Steve Beck, has got a train of cars behind him.
He has got a train of cars behind him. Argent and Clawball are the closest to, and Clawball getting very close under braking there to Kieran Argent through Degner 1 in towards Degner 2. Kieran Argent, is he just losing out a little bit? Luke Saunders had Old Sim Race look around the outside of Degner 2. Very difficult place to overtake, and you've got to trust the person you're racing with to give you that space on the outside or on the inside of them corners. Very difficult place indeed as Old Sim Racer manages to come out the corner. Gary Clawball, though, looks like he's getting a bit of a run on Kieran Argent. This is on board with the Porsche, who's doing great things on the back of the BMW with Kieran Argent at the moment there towards Spoon.
He is indeed. But Kieran Argent, he looked like he had a good pace in race 1, but just a few Argent mistakes that crept in by the looks of things. Possibly a little bit of contact from other drivers. Whoa! Argent! Steady on the exit Spooner, such a tricky corner. Meanwhile, Ellie is on the attack once again on Richie Michel, looking into what they are. And Richie Michel has to defend, and he's got the Ferrari right up his backside.
We stuck with the Gary Clawball, Kieran Argent fight. Kieran Argent just to 2 wheels on the curb there and manages to pull away from Gary Clawball through 130R just a little bit. But Ellie then putting Richie Michel under some immense pressure already in this race, down the start line to start lap 3 of this one. And Richie Michel is having to work hard for this as Ellie takes the fastest lap of the race back from Richie Michel. Looking into turn 1, nothing changing there. Steve Millington's on the back of Cass Brolin. He's having a look into turn 1, late braking. No, he can't get it done. And Argent, not sure what's happened to Gary Clawball, but he's lost out to that of Old Sim Racer and Luke Saunders, who's looking up the inside of Argent. They touch. Argent's off and not into the wall, but close enough, and Luke Saunders carries on his way. But for Kieran Argent, not what he'd have needed there. The tap on the rear, and round he goes. Just noticed Darren Bell is in the pit lane.
Yeah, Darren Bell been there for a while, actually. He's been there at least a lap or 2 now, so he's been into the pits for a while now. But Ellie looking mighty at the minute out the front. Seems to be very good in the final few sectors here. But Ellie trying her very best just to put... Richie Michel needs to be smart here. As much as they start fighting, Dennis Hansen is still within that range to catch him. And if he has one slip, one mistake with a newbie, his championship can be affected massively.
It can indeed, and that's where he's got to think points. Maybe that his fight's not with Ellie because of the fact Ellie's new, and you know, points has got to be your first thought. As through the Degners, sounds like somebody's off. That is Rob Smith, as we're watching Justin Winchell on the back of Michael there, but can't seem to do anything. Justin Winchell had a bit of a shocking Suzuka here for the Ferrari driver. You seeing him running up the front, Michael having a look up the inside. That's Gary Clauble off at the hairpin, and he's got some damage to the front of that car now, as on board with the Nissan towards Spoon. There you go, they've got Argent just in front of them, so Argent's managed to pick up a couple of places, and here comes the Nissan up the inside towards Spoon. Is Michael going to have a look at it? No, backs out of that one on the brakes and thinks better of it. He's going to wait for another time. Just that straight out of the hairpin through 200R towards Spoon, just not long enough for that Nissan to do what it needs to do.
No, not enough, and I think that's a lot of problem with what the Nissan and the Lexus is going to struggle this week. There's not a lot of straights for it to really capitalise here, but it's a lot of a patient game for Michael here. He's going to have to wait for the right time, but he is behind the Porsche, which is probably the slowest in a straight line, as Justin Winters looking very competitive just behind him as well. And I believe Richie Michel has taken the fastest lap back again, but both of them are looking very fast at the front, doing 2:01.1s is the pace currently at the minute from these two, as Brian Craig is up the inside of Mirko Ricci and holding on to that position as well.
He is indeed, as we're still with this Michael fight down towards turn 1 again. The Nissan just gets closer to the Porsche, goes a little wide on entry to turn 1, into the second part of turn 1 now, and Justin Winter can't do anything about it. Got a bit of damage on the front of his Ferrari, does Justin Winter, so that'll be interesting to keep our eyes on his speed throughout this race. Now I believe Darren Bell is back out on circuit. He's 2 laps down though to Jamie, so he's got a busy race of just getting to the end and scoring some points. As at the moment, good drive this from Playerman Michael and that of Justin Winter, who's getting closer through Dunlop then in towards the Degners. There you go. And this is looking decent at the moment for them too. Paul Williams has got Robert Ramsell on the back of him. Robert Ramsell and Stephen Millington as well. I think we said this last week. What a breath of fresh air they've been as well since joining a couple of weeks ago. They've been really good and hot on the heels of Brian Craig's at a moment out of the hairpin and just tapped out of John Goodays. It looked like he was spinning around. That's put John in a whole heap of pressure to Paul Williams, who had to get out of it. And then Robert Ramsell's nearly gone into the back of him.
Letterman's also been collected by Justin Winter, as Brian Craig has to sit and wait, and he's still sat there and waiting. He has to wait for Gary Clauble to clear. He finally selects reverse gear and finally gets going, but once again it's just all sorts of chaos here at Suzuka, as Luke Saunders and Old Sim Racer go side by side into the fast left-hander, and Old Sim Racer decides he doesn't want to be in Japan anymore. He wants to go back to America, be at the Circuit of the Americas for the next race.
I was going to say it was nearly like Alonso and Schumacher all them years ago, but the BMW managed to do the Ferrari on the inside. Old Sim Racer just couldn't keep it there. Ellie's back within a tenth of Mirko Ricci again now, so she's come back. It's ebbing and flowing between them two at the front, but back to Old Sim Racer and tech leader here. Gap just under a tenth of a second. Side by side in the background, that was Paul Williams and Robert Ramsell, who are side by side down towards turn 1. There you go. John Gooday's no longer in this fight. Can't see him on the screen. He's dropped down the order behind Argent, and Robert Ramsell up the inside of Paul Williams, who's going to try and fight it strong round the outside. Can't do anything there though. Can't get the up and under. So John Gooday, what has happened to him? He's down to 20th place. In fact, it might even be more down. It's Gary Clauble's now in the pits.
Gary Clauble is in the pits. He had big damage to the front of his Porsche, and once again Ellie is right on the rear wing of this Lamborghini. She's looking so strong in certain sectors. She just has a moment where she's quick, and then she backs off, and then she comes back at him again, and she's looking to the outside of the hairpin, but she can't quite get the run. But Richie Michel, he's probably sweating buckets right now, thinking, what on earth, where have you come from?
He's probably thanking his lucky stars that she's not been here for the season, because Ellie has looked racy, and well, come next season, that could be one to see what happens then as Ellie comes through Spoon. You just see how that Ferrari is gaining on the Lamborghini through the corner. Richie Michel might have the straight line speed, and this is going to probably make Richie Michel work harder in the next couple of weeks of practice. We head to the Circuit of the Americas next week in the straight line. Look, let's see the difference in the straight line speed then here. Up the straight, Ellie just has a look to the inside of 130R, pulls back into the racing line, little lift, keeps it in the gear she was in, Now over the curb, looking to the inside. Great run to the inside of the chicane, and he's coming up the inside and gets the move done. The Ferrari there set it up out of spoon and finishes it at the chicane, or at the triangle, I think it's called, because of the different layout of the chicane. But what a move from the Ferrari, Dan, and you could see her on board footage set it up out of spoon all the way through 130R.
Yeah, brilliantly done there. She got the job done, and Richie Michel as well, just to rub salt into the wound. He exits the final corner and has a massive tank slapper, and the rear end just wouldn't want to grip up. The Lamborghini just struggling for grip.
Caught off guard a little bit. Stephen Millington's having a look up the inside, a little bit too much curb on the inside there. The Casio triangle is the final chicane because of the different layout. That's the name of it, the Casio triangle. But Stephen Millington there losing out to Casper Olin a little bit, as Mirko Ritchie's down in 10th place. Bit of front end damage for him. Argent then is now on the back of Paul Williams. That's a couple of tenths of a second here in this one, and at the minute, Kieran Argent, you know, he's had that pace, but like you said, and like we said off air, he's kind of done Argent things, and if you're a long-time viewer of SimPlay Motorsport, you'll probably know what that means. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see as we do head to COTA next week. Now, one thing we didn't discuss really was much of the bop in the qualifying, and what cars are stronger around here than others, and I'm just going to have a look at it on the PC next to me here. The bop in use at the moment, it's actually the Porsche 992 that's bopped heaviest on this grid at the moment, because we've got no Ford Mustangs. Then it's the Ferrari 296. The Lamborghini actually loses 5 kilograms around here, so Richie Michel's actually running a lighter car than Ellie, and it's fair play to Ellie on what she's been able to do in that car. Yeah,
well, obviously the idea of the bop is to make the cars equal. So really, if anything, both cars are equal at the minute, and Richie Michel, brilliant lap time from him, and just a phenomenal lap time from Ellie, and she's done him and dropped him quick. 2 seconds is now the gap. She's already gone. She's left him. Yeah, I wonder if that Lamborghini's gone through her face, but Richie Michel does seem to have kind of been a bit flustered from the overtake, and what a move it was. It was a proper racing manoeuvre, that was, as Stephen Millington towards the final chicane has a look up the inside. Casper Olin's gone a little deep. You can try and set them up now, and he just taps the rear of Stephen Millington as Ellie now takes the fastest lap away from Richie Michel. She's on it. She's on a roll. This could be, I mean, she hasn't led every lap, but this could be a clean sweep here.
Yep. Win, fastest lap, pole, win, fastest lap. That would be the clean sweep, obviously, with only having the one qualifying. Stephen Millington, twitch, slide, catches it, manages to keep going through turn one. He goes then. Mirko Ritchie's trying to get back on the rear of Luke Saunders. Paul Williams has got Kieran Argent up the inside, fully alongside as they cross the line. In fact, Kieran Argent is registered as in front and gets up the inside through turn one. So Kieran Argent moves up to 13. Lovely little move that at turn one. There's Michael, not able to do anything at the moment. And what racing we've seen so far, Dan. Obviously, there's been thrills and spills, but some of these overtakes have been proper quality overtakes at the minute.
Yeah, they have been. A few have been a little bit messy as well, but obviously this is the nature of this circuit. It's
what a move!
Racing it.
Stephen Millington round the outside of Degner 1, still side by side on exit of Degner 2. He gets it done on Casper Olin. Francisco at a moment at the end of the first Degner. Sorry, Dan.
Yeah, just, well, the nature of this circuit, you do have to be brave around here. And Stephen Millington showing that he is brave enough, and he goes around the outside. Now he can hunt down the BMW of Francesco Gomez if he's still got enough tyre and life in that car to try and chase him down. Yeah, Dennis Hansen has done what he needed to do. He needed to stay in third place, but he's just not got the pace of the top two at the minute. Yeah. He was hoping that possibly maybe Ellie and Richie Michel would fight a little bit harder so he could probably capitalise on it, but they've not. They've been racing hard, but they've pulled away, if anything.
They've kind of worked together, haven't they, to pull that gap over Dennis Hansen. Hansen's got no response to the front two at this stage of the race, and Richie Michel probably can now sit a bit comfortable. That is John Gooday. That is Colin Bright sat in the pits, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it is. John Gooday is in the pits. Well, we've said it once, we'll say it again. John Gooday isn't having a good day.
Yeah, and I'm starting to think that season where he was in the Mercedes might have been a kind of a fluke season. We did say him that he looked strong in it.
Pre-bop.
He wanted to prove, pre-bop, and he ended up coming back in the Mercedes. And this time around, it's not worked out. So we told him he looked strong, maybe we were right. He was right. After all, he looks more comfortable and faster in the Aston Martin. But nonetheless, he's come back out on track, but we'll just have to just get to the end of the season, and probably you'll end up looking at going back to the Aston again.
And when you look at the Greasy Bandit stable, a lot of them's picked up Mercedes, and a lot of them have said a similar thing, haven't they? Is that it just hasn't done what they wanted it to do.
Yeah, and especially in a category like Pro-Am, you need a very strong, stable car. And the Mercedes is a strong, stable car, but it's just it's not fast enough. You need it to be quick as well, and it's just not produced the lap times and the performance that they wanted.
Watching Michael here on the back of Justin Winter down in 16th place. Good first race for Michael in this one. Mirko Ritchie's not far off the back of Luke Saunders either. They've got Lando Norris and Robert Ramsell not a million miles away, and Luke Saunders just going defensive. Great to see Luke Saunders back. Made his 50th race start last time out at Valencia. And obviously we saw him in the Flying Potatoes team with that of JP and Bemba from back in the day. Great to see Luke Saunders, former AM champion, on the channel. Lovely to see him back. I think he's also working on that pace and coming back into the system and back into the format and just finding his feet again.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, I definitely enjoyed racing him when I was in the Retia, and the guy can race for sure. He's clean and he's good at racing, but it's just big pack we've got now and new cars, and just, yeah, it's all probably new to him, and he's just trying to find his feet, and he's slowly getting there. Yeah,
indeed he is. Stephen Millington is on the back of Francisco here, so he's got past out of Casper Brolin and is now trying to head after the BMW. Steve Beck's running in a quiet 7th place at the moment as John Gooday in the background just getting a lap done. And Dan, one thing to touch on here, it's a very cool day, isn't it? 12 degrees air, 12 degrees track temperature. Obviously that's going to play a part in the slippy surface.
Ritchie, by the way, is looking to attack in turn 1. He's right on the back of Luke Saunders. He's looking to the outside of turn number 1, but he's not quite got enough overlap, and he's run a little bit wide, and that's going to compromise. And Lando Norris gets closer as Justin Winter is now attacking Paul Williams as they go towards turn number 1. They get very close to each other, unnecessarily closer than that, and Justin Winter runs a little bit wide, but he just manages to keep the position. But Paul Williams coming up the inside by those things, and just he can't do enough there. Just a very, very close to the back of that car as Luke Saunders is dropped. Mirko Ritchie, he's now behind Robert Ramsell.
Yes, what's happened there to Mirko Ritchie to drop back down the order a little bit in this one. They're not sure what happened to him there. But yes, very cool today, Dan, and I think that's what's catching some of these drivers out a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, and they've probably got setups that are very good in the the hotter conditions, and right now it's not very hot at all. It's far from it, and yeah, I think they're just all starting just to struggle to find that pace and that grip at the minute, because it's just really tricky conditions.
It is. Indeed, then Stephen Millington has got past out of Francisco for 4th place. He's got Casper Brolin on the back of him. So can now Stephen Millington try and maybe hunt down after Dennis Hansen? Now he's opened the gap up to 2.2 over Richie Michelle. Richie Michelle's gap to Dennis Hansen is 11.2 seconds now. So Dennis hasn't got an answer at the moment. Casper Brolin's on the back of Francisco. Francisco still with that of Stephen Millington though. He's not been dropped by the Ferrari driver yet. And it's going to be interesting to see what will happen if he does have a look into the final chicane, and it is just a look from here on in. It's going to be interesting to see what that Ferrari can do down the order a little bit. Lando Norris trying to get on the rear of Luke Saunders. There's a yellow flag in front, and I saw a bit of dust being kicked up, and I think that may have been John Gooday who's had a bit of an excursion here. But Luke Saunders coming under pressure from Lando Norris. Out the final corner they come, and down the hill they go, and Lando not close enough at the moment. Kieran Argent though, no, sorry, it's Mirko Ritchie that is close enough to Robert Ramsell once again, but not. I don't think he's quite close enough to have a look. No, he's not. Thinks better of it. No real fights happening out on the circuit. Ball this group of 4, and then that of Francisco and Millington, who Millington's actually opened the gap to Francisco.
Yeah, just a better exit by the list of things, and just pulled away from the McLaren, the BMW, but. Casper Brolin has a slide in the background. Steve Beck has just been slowly creeping his way onto the back of these 3, and with that said, has Old Sim Racer as well. He's slowly now working his way onto the back of Steve Beck. So Old Sim Racer looking like he's got pace as Lando Norris and Robert Ramsell are pushing Luke Saunders as they head up towards Degner 1 and Degner 2. Bouncing of course, and Luke's gone very wide. And is he going to hold on to the position? Look, Lando Norris up the inside, Robert Ramsell up the inside, and here comes Mirko Ritchie out of nowhere and goes around the outside of Robert Ramsell, who had his own moment as they head up towards the hairpin. And Luke Saunders defends the inside, but Lando is there. And I think partially to look towards Luke Saunders there, Lando was on the inside, and Luke just turned in on him.
Yeah, going to have to see that one, see how far Lando Norris was ahead. But Robert Ramsell benefited out of that when he gained 3 places, and on their way they go once again. And the lead's now 3.4 seconds, just going to drop back to to that of Kieran Argent. He's got Justin Winter gaining on the back of him. Michael's got is catching onto the back of Paul Williams just ever so slightly per sector, so it's going to be interesting to keep eyes on that fight as well. But at the moment, going great guns is that of Ellie and Richie Michelle. They've kind of pulled away. Dennis Hansen as well has got over a 3-second gap at the moment to Steve Millington. But for how long? Because Steve Millington's got a bit of pace in that car. Justin Winter carrying more speed through 130R than Kieran Argent, and just closes up a little bit more. And these two gaining on the back of Luke Saunders after that spin at the hairpin.
Yeah, and also Dennis Hansen, maybe in that 3rd place, but he might be happy to see that also Stephen Millington's back under pressure from Gomez. He seems to have got himself back together again and is back onto the back of the Ferrari. Sometimes it's easier to actually chase rather than follow, rather than lead, because if you're chasing, you can see where the other car's braking and try it yourself. Obviously, cars are slightly different and so on and so forth, but there's always the opportunity that he can have a look and try different lines, and possibly that's what's happening here with Gomez. He's found some quicker lines, but he's very sideways as he goes through Techno 1.
Don't forget that BMW also kind of has a moment or two, so you've kind of got to have it. Says Casper Rollins off, bounces off the wall a little bit, and that's going to allow Steve Beck through. So Casper Rollins makes a mistake at the exit of the Degners, and that's not going to help his performance, but Steve Beck goes through. Mirko Ritchie's now looking on the back of that of Lando, down to Justin Winter, who's got himself ahead of Kieran Argent. Now Argent's coming under the trap of Paul Williams and Michael. Darren Bell's back in the pits, and not the return like he wanted from last night, where he had a great night on the podium. Tonight's not gone his way in this race at all. But Kieran Argent now, is this BMW just going through its little period, Dan, where it just tends to, after about 20 minutes or so, just have 5 or 10 minutes where it just goes a little strange?
Possibly so. I mean, I think the Lamborghini does something similar as well, but it tends to go through a weird phase where it's very competitive at the start, is able to use the softer tyres and able to run it through, but as soon as the tyres just get a little bit more worn, it seems to go into this kind of like evil stage.
Yeah.
I mean, I've only driven the BMW a handful of times, but Matt, you're more of an expert on the car. It does seem to go a little bit weird at stages.
Twitchy and loose, as if everything just, as if you just lose all grip is how it seems to feel. But yeah, that kind of comes back to you. But the problem is, by the time this is going to start to come back to these drivers, Dan, we're possibly looking at the pit window opening. And if you've not been experienced in driving the car, or you've not been experienced at testing that setup that you've got on the car, you may then think, oh well, do I need to change my tyres here in this race to get it back to where it was? The pit window opens now, looks for drivers towards the back end of the field. In fact, John Gooday's already pulled the trigger. That could be a good strategy for John Gooday. And Tank has retired from the race. We have lost Tank from this second race.
Yeah, not the return that he probably would have wanted, but nonetheless, it's a retirement and a qualifying ban going to COTA. And the last time we went to COTA with the Pro-Am, so we had all sorts of drama regarding internet servers and issues where we lost half the grid. So COTA
half
for the
points,
Pro-Am,
wasn't it?
It was awarded half points, and the Pro-Am drivers are going to be very nervous going back to COTA, I think.
They're going to be just as nervous to make sure the servers run okay. John Gooday and Argent both then into the pits. We're watching Lando Norris try and get close to the back of Robert Ramsell, as well as Michael now, who's under that second to Paul Williams, so just chipping away at that gap. And that's what I like about this here, is he is just starting to bring that gap down. And Michael, to be fair, great night of racing. I know he's down in 15th place, and that would suggest it's been a great night, but he's genuinely had good pace in that Nissan, and a car that's older and not tipped to be as good. He's making it work.
He is indeed, and obviously as well, you talk about it not being very quick. It wasn't very good on one lap, but it seems to be quite good in the race here. And he is on the back of Paul Williams. It seems, again, another car that's big and heavy and seems to be quite stable. But I think it's probably a very understeery car by probably the looks of things.
Yeah, we're probably going to have to keep our eyes on what the Nissan will do and its characteristics. But he is closing that gap. Steve Beck is into the pit lane. Mirko Ritchie's once again closed up to the back of Lando Norris. So that gap just coming down a little bit more. In fact, it comes down a lot more than that because Lando Norris seems to get a poor run out the chicane and now a poor run down the start-finish straight. And Mirko Ritchie is going to get past Lando Norris here around the outside before they even enter turn one. Mirko Ritchie gets ahead of Lando Norris, so not sure what happened there to the McLaren. Just didn't get the drive out the chicane.
Yeah, possibly so, and yeah, just not the run he wanted and just mugged by the Lamborghini there. Quite a lot of cars in the pits. Steve Beck, old sim racer, is in there as well. Robert Ramsell, Justin Winter, Luke Saunders, Paul Williams, Michael and Monkey Boy all to pit lane, as is Argent as well. But all those guys in the pits at the minute. But Ellie at the minute leading and in control of this race, 4.2 seconds ahead of Richie Michel, and then it's a long way back to Dennis Hansen in 13th place, third place. I say 13th, he's 13 seconds behind. So yeah, it's a bit of a gap between Dennis Hansen and Richie Michel.
Yeah, it is a bit of a gap at the moment between the two championship protagonists, but Dennis Hansen in control over Francisco Gomez, who's both him and Casper Olin have got past Millington, so not sure where that's happened then. Lando Norris trying to come back at Mirko Ritchie now. Steve Beck's the first car, or the lead car, after the pit stops. Rob Smith has got himself a drive-through penalty, and Argent, for his troubles, is down at the back of the pack, but obviously cars to pit around them. And Playman here trying to gain on Steve Beck that little bit. Beck will be gaining on DJ Phil, though. And obviously DJ Phil can be a bit of a nuisance at times in terms of passing them. So this battle, Mirko Ritchie and Lando Norris, the closest one we have for you. Don't forget what's coming up this week on SimPlay Motorsport. Myself and Phil Raden will be back tomorrow night for the pro action around Suzuka, the final race of the week in what should be an absolutely fantastic race of this championship, one that could see Dan move that one step closer to his 10th championship at SimPlay Motorsport. Dan will be back next Thursday for the Circuit of the Americas. Weather's looking very fruity from what Mike posted in the Discord earlier for that one. Steve Millington comes into the pit lane. Weather looking a little fruity for that one as we enter Kota next week, as here is Michael on the back of Ian Best. He's jumped Luke Saunders and Justin Winter in the pits, says Michael. So interesting stop there. Gary Clauble also in. Ian Best yet to pit. And this is all down for these places. Bar that one of John Gooday at the back of the pack, who's a lap down on all of these at the moment. Justin Winter's also having a look on Luke Saunders as well as they come to 130. He's not going to do that. He's going to back in. Myself and Dan will be back, though, next week for Circuit of the Americas Pro-Am in what should be a fantastic night's worth of racing. There's several cars into the pit lane. Ian Best a little slow through 130, and that catches Luke Saunders and Justin Winter out.
Yeah, it does, and Justin Winter taps the back of Luke, and Luke goes up the inside of Best, and they all Constantine are up, and in the back of all this is John Gooday, who's like, what do I do? I want to carry on and do my race, but he can't seem to just get through this pack of cars, and Ian Best decides that it's best to pit as we are now into the halfway stage of this race. You like that?
Good though.
As the Ferrari's in the middle of a front engine sandwich of the BMW and the Mercedes of Monkey Boy, and Monkey Boy runs wide and makes that mistake. But Justin Winter has his own moment, and he's got past Luke Saunders.
Yeah, each of them there had a wiggle at a different stage of the corner there, and through he goes. And I tell you what, Justin Winter looks a little stable tonight. That's possibly why he's probably a bit slower than normal, Dan. He's not sideways through the S's like we used to seeing him. Robert Ramsell then is on the rear now of Lando Norris. Rob Smith still has that stop-go penalty to do. And Steve Millington's actually came out behind Lando Norris and Robert Ramsell, so not a great stop for Steve Millington.
No, not at all. And Rob Smith as well has got to stop and go later on to serve as well. Argent is at the back now, as he's put in the chat. Big damage, he hit the pit entry.
We've all been there. We've all done it.
Yeah, we've also hit cars going into pit entry, haven't we, Matt?
Yes, Daniel. I heard about yours last week.
I don't know what you're talking about. Nothing to be discussed. If you have any conversation with Ben, just remind him as well the final corner at Valencia, and he will tell you that it didn't happen. So
yeah, well, hey, Hey, so all's fair in love and war as Steve Millington a little wide through the final corner. We got 28.5 minutes left as we've just all died down. Good run there for Robert Ramsell, mid-chicane. Let's not forget what is coming up. We will have a Wheel of Names live stream for next year's endurance calendar. Dates are to be confirmed for that, so we will get a calendar out. Dates will follow, hopefully in the new year when I personally know a bit more.
Robert Ramsell took it on the inside of Lando! And contact made. Lando goes round. Is Robert Ramsell going to wait for him? No, he's going to carry on through.
So, as we know nowadays at SimPlay Motorsport, if you wait, your penalty is probably significantly less. If you don't, your penalty is probably a lot more. But yeah, we've got the Endurance Championship being scheduled. Obviously, dates will follow in the new year when we know what's happening work-wise in terms of personal lives for myself and others. To get dates scheduled around that one. The new year will probably bring, or in between Christmas and the new year, we're probably going to be bringing you a live stream of the Wheel of Names for the calendar for Season 7. Remember, if you are a Patreon on that, and if you would like to be a part of the Patreon, head over to our Discord to see the Patreon perks and everything there. I believe we can bring them up on the stream, actually, as we are in a bit of a lull. There we can. There is the Patreon support. For £3 a month, you get to reserve a driver number. You get priority access to sign up in events, which means when the sign-ups go out for events or championships, as Robert Ramsell, just to let you know, is yielding back behind that of Lando Norris, so has gave up that time. So priority sign-ups will go the way of Patreon members before they get issued publicly. Track suggestions, that means for a future season. We've seen this year, we've already had the likes of PN Motorsport and Machado's track selection of Misano and Snetterton. You get a track suggestion for future seasons. You get a pre-season promo image done by our very own Dan Davis and a social media link share. So mainly for your streams to be shared within the Discord automatically for when you go live. Casper Olin, Francisco Gomez, Mirko Ricci, all are in the pit lane. Where's Steve Beck in relation to these? Because Francisco Gomez is away, Dennis Hansen's done his stop and gone, and Steve Beck, I think, has jumped them all. He has jumped them all. He's even jumped Casper Olin and Francisco, Dan. So that undercut for Steve Beck there has worked an absolute treat. What about old Sim Racer? He also has jumped Casper Olin and Francisco Gomez. Good early stop for the Ferrari and the BMW.
Very much so, and it's worked out beautifully for them. This race is really confusing. I mean, it looks like you got one strong dominant car, and next thing you know, it's someone else working their way through. Casper Olin.
So we've said all week, and we've seen Richie Michel's pace all season and all week, and you've kind of been like, it's going to be interesting to see what he can do when he goes up into the pros. It's going to be fascinating to see what he can do. You know, he's been saying on Discord how he's close to the 59s and got in the 59s. Then out of nowhere we have a newcomer who then is just, we see them in the free practice. Ellie, mid-pack, didn't set the world alight, wasn't the slowest, was sort of, in that mid-groove, and you think, all right, reverse grid race one, we'll see what she can do there. I don't think any of us expected this, though, as they both come into the pits.
No, we didn't, but it is nice to see, and obviously it's a fresh fight for Richie Michel, because yes, he has to still do the reverse grid, which is a challenge on its own, but it's still like the race to the feature races is where he's going to be having that fight now. Yeah, and Paul Williams, meanwhile, is on to the back of Michael, and he's got Justin Winter behind as well, so yeah, we'll keep an eye on how that fight continues on, because, oh no, wait, Paul Williams has gone wide, and Michael Michael is in front still. I thought Michael went wide or lost the position there, but Ellie's come out the pits and gone into turn one, and Richie Michel has lost even more time by the looks of things to her. So Ellie nailing the stop, and off she goes again. Yeah, she did it in race one. She's done it again here in race two. And Dennis Hansen, did he get any closer? No, he's now 20 seconds behind Richie Michel, so he's even lost more time to Richie Michel in the pits. In this one then, Robert Ramsell still within 3/10 of Lando Norris as they come into the final chicane, as he's trying to regain that spot back up. Argent's got ahead of Rob Smith after Rob Smith has cleared that stop-go penalty. John Gooday well in front end. Where's Argent? Argent's at Spoon. Gooday's at 130 off. So not a million miles ahead of Argent, but enough to be comfortable at the moment. Monkey Boy, though, sat on the back of Luke Saunders. This is on board with Monkey Boy. Coming through. Picked up 2 Team Dynamics Halfords Yuasa Honda shirts for a £5 today in his local shop. What a bargain. I know, you're speechless. I can't believe it as well. That's absolutely fantastic. What a bargain from Monkey Boy. You talked Honda and I got bored. But Ellie, meanwhile, 10.3 is the gap now. Even with that stop done, she's extended the gap. It was 5 seconds when they stopped. Richie Michelle must have pitted for fuel as well, but Ellie stopped, gone, off she goes. And with that as well, if she'd done that with the pace as well, and she's fully tanked, and Richie Michelle wasn't, that's even more impressive.
Yeah, fair play. Fair play. Could there be a discussion for a pro seat next season?
Who knows?
It's one race.
Who knows?
It's one race. Too early to judge. It's one race at the moment.
She might love this circuit, and then we go to Kota and she's nowhere.
Yellow flag. That is Mirko Ricci. Ooh, who's got some bad front end damage. That is out of Dunlop. He's had a moment into the wall there. Then that's coming now into the Degners. Yeah, that front end. That is going to be crabbing quite significantly. So that is going to be possibly a race-ending piece of damage here, because that could be in the pits for a long time. And he's already now got DJ Phil just behind him. I don't think they're a lap down yet, are they? Yes, Ellie has crossed the line. So where it's saying that Jamie, Clarball, Gooday, Argent and Rob Smith are 2 laps down, they're not. They're still only a lap down. It's just the fact that the leader has crossed the line. Everybody else is now coming through. But Mirko Ricci, you could just see how much time he's losing. This is going to help Argent, who's about to unlap himself. This is going to help John Gooday and Rob Smith and Gary Clarball and Jamie just pull that lap back and be able to get back onto the rear of another car and maybe just score a handful more points.
The one that's going to help the most is Team Train.
Oh, the Dane trains, yeah.
Dennis Hansen sitting in 3rd and Casper Olin in 6th. Big points for those two. And Mirko Ricci's going to be dropping down. He's going to try and get that car back. But the longer he stays out there, obviously, the more time he's going to lose. But if he goes in the pits and it's 4 minutes, you know, it's then going to be 2 minutes if he creeps it back in. It's a hard one to judge, but he's going to go dropping down the order. Player Man's now coming, and Ian Best not a million miles away, and Jamie also coming. By the end of this, I think Ian Best will get past him and not quite Jamie. Well,
he's already been unlapped by Argent, and Argent's nearly at the start line. He's only at 130 on now, struggling to turn that car. He's got Player Man right behind him. Let's Player Man go. Player Man very cautious through there just to make sure. So I'm just looking at the average stop time for a tyre change of 30 seconds here at Suzuka. Is that's Sport. It's 62 seconds. You lose just over half your lap for a tyre change pit stop. This is obviously more than that. So Kieran Argent, as Mirko Ricci enters the pit lane now, Kieran Argent is already pretty much a quarter of the lap in front, and Mirko's only just really got into the pit lane and has got to get that car stopped. Ellie has now just lapped him. So yeah, I think Mirko here, if he ends up behind Rob Smith and Argent in the last 2 places, this could really help the Dane trains gain some big points, because 3rd and 6th at the moment, what would that give then? That would be 45 for 3rd and 33 for 6th. That's a good 78 points, whereas Richie Michel's who's scoring 50, and Mirko Ricci, if he is to be last down in that 24th spot, would gain 7, so only 57. They'd be losing a good 18 points there. It's not a lot, but if they've already lost a few tonight, it just chips away, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely so. I'm just actually looking back at the most successful drivers around here. A couple of names that look familiar. Max Mulder, obviously, Fury has been quite successful around here. Myself, we've also got Mike Mathew's got a win here. Ginger Bush has been successful here. But the name that really sticks out there, and very much so, Overtaker, 2 pole positions and 5 race wins here. He is the man of Suzuka, isn't he?
There's not many circuits where someone is that dominant. You look at certain tracks and to see where someone has been. Ripper at Kyle Army, 3 poles, 4 wins. Yourself at Imola, 2 poles, 4 wins. You're naming Overtake there, 2 poles, 5 wins here. Myself at Zolden, no poles but 6 wins. De Silva at Paul Ricard, 3 and 3. There's a lot of circuits that we've not named there where drivers are so close. And then you've got that from Overtaker at Suzuka, which is just a cut above the rest for some reason. And you know, I'm not a fan of this circuit, more of a fan of spectating it, not a fan of driving it, but he just gels with this track. Doesn't matter what car he seems to go in, doesn't matter what game it seems to be on, he just clicks with this circuit and does really, really well around here. And look, he's in a good, strong Ford Mustang tomorrow. He's up the grid in race 1 a little bit due to missing a few races this season. No quali bans for him this week. He could be a real contender.
He could be, indeed, as as you can tell, guys, the racing has gone a little bit flat once again. Michael and Justin Winter and Paul Williams are still close to one another, but kind of just spread out a little bit. But yeah, I'm obviously looking at most successful drivers just around each circuit. You say obviously Laguna, Imola for myself is actually not the first track I would have thought to come to mind for myself. It's actually, I was thinking Nürburgring seems to be my dominant circuit. What else is on here? Laguna Seca as well. But yourself, Matt, very strong at Zolder. Actually, you're the one who's probably got the most wins at one particular circuit of Zolder. 6 wins to your name, but no pole position.
No poles.
So,
32. Oh, Mirko. Oh, as if his night couldn't get any worse. He gets a stop-go penalty. I've never been well at qualifying. One that sticks out for me, though, Dan, looking at the same graphic there, is 2 poles, 3 wins, Donington Park. Not bad to say you don't like British circuits.
I mean, look at all the British circuits. Was it Silverstone? 2 poles, 2 wins. Still not the most. Fury's very successful around there. Brands Hatch, 3 poles, 2 wins. Surprisingly, Zandvoort up there for some reason. Where's the other British circuits we got?
Alton Park, you're only 2 poles and a win, which is actually probably your worst one. Just looking for Snetterton. Yeah, 3 poles and 2 wins at Snetterton. Yeah, so yeah, Alton Park's probably your weakest circuit. Obviously, that'll probably get rectified later this year, but
no chance, not in the Lexus. I mean, if one circuit is designed to really ruin the Lexus, as Paul Williams, by the way, I just looked back on, he's in the gravel.
Yeah, he's had a moment.
He's had a big damage.
Who's he dropped behind? He's dropped behind a Monkey Boy, the 53. He's not dropped behind DJ Phelps. He's dropped behind Monkey Boy down into P15. Didn't see what happened there. Casper Ollin's getting close to once again to the old sim race. That's just over a second. Like Dan says, it has just taken a lull. Before we then get to see, good evening to Cole Ferdinand Foster. You two should get a room. As long as you're enjoying the entertainment, that's all that matters, Cole. If we're talking Alton Park, you're saying that the Lexus isn't going to be strong around there. But before we even get to see the bop file, what are you predicting will be good there? What do you think that we've got on the grid? Yeah.
Ferrari or BMW, I would say.
Yeah, I was going to say BM. I think a
Ferrari
British car.
Or BMW.
I think
Aston Martin, could be very strong around there.
Who's in the Aston? Ben,
think
isn't it? Yeah.
Ben, if Kieran O'Reilly managed to get his pedals and wheels sorted, Alex might turn up as a reserve.
Yeah.
You know, a McLaren could possibly be strong there. I know Jamal Clouden was quite strong there, it's difficult to say. I would say the Ferrari probably is your best bet as the 32 for driving, speeding through the pit lane.
Yeah. Bad to worse for him tonight. Bad to worse for him. Cole Fernandez, of course, enjoying the action. Justin Winters on the back of Michael here then in the Nissan. Oh, who's that having a moment just in front? I don't think it was Robert Ramsden. No, who's the 181? That is Gary Clogs.
Luke Saunders, by the way.
Yeah.
Luke Saunders is 800ths behind the back of Lando Norris.
Lando's got front-end damage. I've just noticed through the S's there.
A Monkey Boy is just on the back of these two as well. He's got his boss just in front of him. Yeah, Luke Saunders just being patient here, waiting for the right time. These two already had a coming together at the hairpin, but Lando really struggling with front-end grip, and you can see why.
Okay, you can see why in that McLaren, and over the curb he goes. Obviously, Dan, going into next season, the calendar will be drawn obviously between the Christmas and New Year period is what we're expecting to do a live stream for. What are we excited to see next year? Do you have, obviously as an admin, do you have a track selection in mind?
I knew this was coming.
I'm not going to ask you for it. I don't want to give anything away just yet, but do you have one in mind? Because I've got mine already locked in.
Funny enough, obviously discussing tracks just now as Luke Saunders is attacking Lando Norris into Spoon, and he gets the job done. He has a little wiggle as Lando tries to hang on, but Luke Saunders does get the position, and Lando Norris now dropping behind the BMW. He's going to be under pressure from the Mercedes-Benz in a few moments' time, and John Goudet is now flashing Lando.
Monkey flash John to flash Lando, I reckon there. Oh, Gaffer, give him a flash to get him to... Oh, John!
What is
John
doing?
Whoa! Yeah, that was a little risky there from John Gooday.
That was very risky. That was possibly not needed, but yeah, John Gooday just drops down the order even. Well, he just drops further behind the leaders. I do actually have an old sim racer, by the way, called Steve Beck as well.
Yeah, just changed to that.
That's very close. And old sim racer, again, he's just been quiet and just done his own race, and he's worked his way up. And not the quickest in qualifying, but in the race,
good racecraft, good race ability, good racecraft. He's got good pace in the race, and we've said this a couple of times this season that he kind of slips under the radar a little bit. And at the end of the race, you're like, where's he came from? And it's a good result.
Yeah, he's just come out of nowhere. He's just mind his own business and just picked cars off bit by bit.
Yeah.
Possibly struggles with the big packs, and that's why it takes a little bit more time just to clear the traffic. But once he does clear them, he's on the move.
Drive-through cleared for Mirko Ricci then as the leaders are coming round. Ellie is about to lap that of Player Man, who is down the bottom end of the grid as Mirko Ricci lets both of them two through. So yes, track, you've got one in mind, or you've got one locked in though, because obviously we've kind of decided, haven't we, that we can't re-pick the circuit we've just selected.
Oh.
Sorry to disappoint.
I like the mountain.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed the mountain this year. Yeah.
Of course you did. You still hate it though.
Still,
like you enjoyed Suzuka.
I enjoyed Suzuka. Still to test driving it.
Yeah, I want to go back to a German circuit. I want to go back to the Nürburgring.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. We've
now
not been
we've discussed
there for a while,
about
actually.
it. We haven't, no. And it'd be nice to make a return back to the Nürburgring.
I remember you had a cracking race there, by the way, a few seasons ago. You had a qualifying ban. And was that the night? Was that the night of the famous warehouse wrecking and throwing animal mud at the fans from Bozzy Boy? Was that the same night as then?
I think so, yes. I think I was racing De Silva, and I just worked from my way back, and Monkey Boy's attacking Lando into the chicane. Up the inside he goes, and Lando has to cut the chicane, and Monkey Boy should get that position, hopefully. What? Monkey Boy has his own slide.
That to me looked like Lando
has to get the position.
Yeah, I think so. He looked like he turned in a little bit, bounced off of Monkey Boy and across the chicane. He went, Lando's just struggling, and he's tried to do everything he can to stay in front. Here comes Monkey Boy down towards turn one. Is he going to look up the inside? No, he patiently waits and thinks better of it. Back towards Steve Beck and old sim racer. They've got Casper Olin gaining on them as well down at the moment. So Steve Beck not able to.
He's there.
He is there. Sorry, Steve Beck not able to do anything about that of Dennis Hansen. Dennis Hansen has probably had the quietest, loneliest race in P3 that you could ever imagine.
Yeah, everything has been going on around him, and then as they get to the end of this, it's just nothing's happened for him. He's just didn't see Richie Michelle. He hasn't seen anyone near him since the start of the race, and yeah, it's just been a bit of a lonely race as Monkey Boy is now back onto the rear wing of Lando Norris, and he's brought John Gooday back with him again as they head down towards Degner 1, and Lando understeers.
The thing for John is he's 9 seconds off of Gary Clarble, so he's going to want to try and close in on Gary. But he's got to remember that this is a fight between the leaders. These are a lap ahead of him, so cannot really interfere with this fight. Also, Monkey Boy is one of his drivers, so isn't going to want to do too much as Monkey Boy gets the up and under here on that of Lando Norris, who went very deep through the corner in towards 200R. Now comes Lando Norris and Monkey Boy, and Monkey Boy just can't get in front of that McLaren at the moment.
As Lando understeers wide there, even the simplest of corners are going to be a struggle, and he's going to run wide. Monkey Boy should have the entry, and he does not. He can't get underneath that McLaren.
Yeah, and this is all halting John Gooday, who's just got to sit there and wait. The gaffer's got to let Monkey Boy get on with this. He cannot get back in front of Monkey. He's got to let Monkey attack him. The problem is
Racer past Steve Beck.
Argent is only 13 seconds behind that of John Gooday, so keep our eyes on that gap. He has passed Steve Beck. Michael's back in front then of Justin Winter, so that's changed there. But Lando Norris and Monkey Boy once again into the chicane. Lando Norris hangs on over Monkey Boy here, looking pretty good for the McLaren driver.
Yeah, Monkey Boy's just getting a little bit flustered, I think, through the final chicane, and here comes John Gooday up the inside of his fellow Greasy Bandits driver, and he should really just back off, and he is going to, and I think what he needs to do is back right off the back of Monkey Boy and just let Monkey Boy focus on clearing Lando. Once he's cleared him, then he can make his way through the pack a little bit more. But
the problem for John is that gap to Argent's now down to 12.9, so he doesn't want to back off too much where Argent's then going to become a nuisance to him.
Yeah.
So
Pretty much so.
Yeah.
Monkey Boy just needs to tidy up his exits and try and get good runs. The Mercedes will have the grunt, and the McLaren is struggling as it is, so Monkey Boy's just got to time it right.
He's got to realise that John's not going to attack him as well. John's a lap down, so he's not going to attack his team member as Monkey Boy. Good run through the first Degner, on the brakes into the second Degner. You're not really going to get a good run out of here. Noticed last night driving the GT4s that out of Degner 2 towards the hairpin, very easy to defend, so you're not going to get the run up here. It's about out of this corner and around towards Spoon, because if you can follow that car closely through 200R now, which Monkey Boy is not, the minute they go wide here, right, and you pretty much stay where Lando is round 200R, come back in now to stay to the right-hand side. If you're close enough, that's where you could make a dive up the inside in towards Spoon. And Monkey Boy just not close enough. As well here, get a good run out of here. And do what Ellie did. Set him up here into the chicane. Monkey Boy has got to stay close enough to Lando Norris to make sure he gets that run. He's right up the rear wing now. This is on board with Monkey Boy there. This is on board with Lando. Now we're on board with Monkey Boy as he's decided now to go to the outside line. Now he's bouncing on the grass and gets the move done before 130R.
Yeah, he now needs just to hang on to it as he goes into the chicane, because Lando might look back to come back at him, but Monkey Boy does keep the position. But he's got deep. He's gone deep into the chicane, but he manages to hook it back up, and he stays in front. Who's just behind him? Paul Williams is now starting just to creep onto him, but I think once they sort themselves out, the damage of that McLaren will allow him not to be able to get any closer to Lando Norris. Now John Goudet is looking to try and unlap himself from Lando Norris as he goes to go down the inside. Lando thinks, no, I'm not going to mess around with you. Off you go.
Well, that's good. Oh, Jamie and Ian Best make contact at 200R and bounce into the path of Steve Beck. Oh, no!
Oh, no. Steve Beck, no. He's just minding his own business. He worked so hard for 5th, and he's been caught up in a silly little incident, and now he's waiting for everyone to come feeding through. Casper Olin must be thinking it's his birthday, because that's another position and more points
for the Dane trains.
Drain trains, yeah. For them.
Indeed it is. Oh, Steve Beck, your heart must be in your mouth for him, who was having such a good run. Yes, he just lost out to Old Sim Racer, but was having such a good race. There goes Michael and Justin Winter. Luke Saunders will be coming as well. Kieran
I think
Argent.
that's him done.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. He's not got that going. He must be livid at the moment. Kieran Argent, by the way, got the gap down to 8.9 seconds in a lap. And John Goudet at the moment is not past Lando Norris, so Kieran Argent within 2 laps is down to 8.9 seconds from 12.9. John Gooday's got to be careful as well here, because soon enough Paul Williams and DJ Phil are going to be on him. There's another car return to the pits. The 32 has had a moment at the hairpin, and that is Mirko Ricci, who's had a big off then at the hairpin corner. Who else is had in the pits? That's Jamie also in the pit lane. Justin Winter now on the back of Michael. And I've not called him Michael Harris once, so Michael Harris can be very pleased about that one.
Yeah, the one night that Michael Harris is probably not even here to make sure that you didn't say that. But no, just just a shame there for Steve Beck, and it's just luck, blind luck that Old Sim Racer didn't get involved in it, but he did, and he just had no. I'm rewatching it. He had nowhere to go. Jamie coming across the track. And that is his race ruined.
The one bonus, Dan, is we say that's more points for the Dane trains. If Mirko Ricci, depending on how long Jamie's in the pits, if Mirko Ricci can get past him before Jamie comes out, that could be a kind of bounce back there for a 23rd place for Team Ricci Corsa to gain some more points in their championship fight. It just depends when they come out of the pit lane. DJ Phil, by the way, has passed Paul Williams here, and they've both got past John Goudet. So Goudet is now only 3.4 behind ahead of Argent. Sight gap's come down another 5 seconds. Paul Williams got some huge damage to the front of his car, and all of a sudden, look, John Goudet, just messing around in the Monkey Boy Lando Norris fight, has put himself in a spot of bother.
He has indeed, and yeah, just desperation. I think it's for some of the drivers. Frustration, desperation, and just silly little errors just creeping in now. Michael and Justin Winter can't seem to keep themselves separated at the minute, as they're still relatively close. And now DJ Phil is looking to try and make a move on Lando Norris now.
He is indeed, and that I said about Mirko Ricci coming out the pits ahead of Jamie. Possibly so, but he's back into the pits himself, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But Justin Winter isn't able to do what he needs to do to get past Michael. He's still been staring at the back of that Mercedes. And DJ Phil, having a late charge here up into possibly 13th place come the end of this race. Decent result for DJ Phil. 3.5 minutes left to go in this one. Driver of the day poll will be going out, I imagine, any moment now, or any moment shortly. But interesting one to see. Robert Ramsell's within a second of Francisco Gomez. And the Cam Racing team, I tell you what, they've been a team that's been scoring a handful of points. Where are they in the Constructors' Championship? I don't think they're going to win it. They're too far back. But they are on 552. They will jump Team FBR. They'll possibly be even closer to Team Tom. And Millington and Ramsell here just putting on a bit of a show on a late charge up that Constructors' Championship table.
Indeed he is. Sorry, I'm just currently typing out the driver of the day. As DJ Phil's got John Goudet right behind him once again, and John Goudet is overtaking DJ Phil. Or is he? I can't quite tell. He has overtaken DJ Phil.
Well, Francisco...
DJ Phil, an idiot, so...
Up and under for Robert Ramsell at the hairpin on Francisco. Francisco just struggling in that BMW. Ramsell's not got past. And Lando Norris and DJ Phil now going at it. John's now got in between the pair of them. So John's now decided, I can't mess around here. I've got to get on with it because Argent's catching me. Jamie is still in the pits. Mirko Ricci still a lap down to Jamie. But, yeah, while ever this is happening, the annoying thing now for John Goudet is he's putting himself in a cause with the ticket machine himself, DJ Phil, for a violation of blue flag rules.
He is indeed, and right now DJ Phil's back onto the rear of him because John Goudet can't find a way through on Lando Norris. So he's cleared one car, but now can't clear the other one.
DJ Phil ought to get a job at Ticketmaster. Think how good he'd be at selling. If he sold tickets as good as he puts them in, he'd make a fortune. And John Goudet could be in for a world of pain. PN says easy vote for driver of the day. Yeah. Yeah, it kind of is, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Definitely.
It's one-way traffic.
Yeah, DJ Phil.
We could be in for a few tickets tonight. Robert Ramsell on the back of Francisco Gomez, that is for sure here. DJ Phil, though, still on the back now of Lando Norris. And John Goudet is just putting himself in that potential danger of the blue flag rule. He's now going to look to the inside of Lando Norris into 130. Oh, he needs to get this done before 130. Oh, Lando's hit him! Lando's hit him! Into the wall goes John Goudet. Lando Norris loses out to DJ Phil, and Kieran Argent will pick up the pieces as well. And John Goudet sat facing the circuit of Suzuka into the wall and put himself down. Has to look at himself for that one. Put himself in a position he didn't need to be in.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he was trying to hunt down the cars that were in front of him, but it's just unnecessary. Meanwhile, the Cam Racing boys have caught Francesco, and they're putting him under immense pressure right at the end as Ellie starts her final lap here, and she now laps Lando Norris. She's a bit nervous doing it, but yeah, the Cam Racing boys are on the back of the BMW of the Naval Racing Team 2, Gomez, and Gomez now under some pressure from the Ferraris.
Matt in the chat saying that Ian Best 17th, potential best yet. He's going to be gassed. Great race from Ian Best, to be fair. He's picked up where others have faltered. But like Dan says, Francisco here, he's got pressure from the Cam Racing boys. What a job they could do here to make it maybe 6th and 7th for the team in this one. They've got to do it, like Dan says. Ellie is on the final lap of the race. John Goudet is now into the pits. That could help Rob Smith. Maybe even Steve Beck. Mirko Ricci did pass Jamie, so that is crucial there. But Francisco's coming towards the start line now to start his final lap of the race. Is coming down the start-finish straight. And what is it going to be in this one? One thing we can guarantee is that Jamie is going to be finishing down a lap there. 2nd place in race 1, but 24th place in this race. For now, where is Ellie? She's already coming up to Spoon. These are 6th, 7th and 8th, and they're only just going through turn 1. They're at Fork, she's at Spoon. Nearly done.
I mean, Richie Michelle is only now into the swooping right-hander as Ellie's exiting Spoon. So this is how dominant she's been and how strong she has been as she now comes down towards 130R, and this is going to be a Grand Slam unless somebody steals the fastest lap right at the end. Yeah, brilliant job from Ellie tonight. She has been dominant and unstoppable.
Head and shoulders above the rest. The 855 Ferrari enters the final chicane. And for the final time for round 18, Ellie takes the little bend at the end, and she comes across the line to be a double race winner at SimPlay Motorsport, and a double race win tonight for her. What a drive from our debutante this week. Great stuff from Ellie. Richie Michel will have to take and settle for second place, because it is all he was capable of getting in this second race here. Then Dennis Hansen, well, what a night. 2 third places. Good night all in all. Good points over that of Richie Michel, to say the least, but not enough. Not what he would have wanted in this one at all. He's going to come down towards the line now, and he is going to take that of P3. Decent result there for Dennis Hansen. Just nothing more in the tank, and was actually being closely... Oh no, that was Rob Smith behind, not Old Sim Racer. Apologies. So Rob Smith finished the race down in 20th place. Old Sim Racer will cross the line P4. Casper Olin P5. Not a bad job for Casper Olin in that one. Francisco Gomez is off. Robert Ramsell and Steve Millington will take a 7th, a 6th and a 7th. Very, very late on at the end. 6th for Ramsell, 7th for Millington. It'll be 8th for Francisco Gomez. Justin Winter down out of all of that as well. Got ahead of Michael. Is he slow for a reason? Michael's also lost out to Luke Saunders, so I'm not sure what may have happened here, but Winter is slow, and that is Luke Saunders who is gaining on him. Winter is very slow. I don't know what...
I think he's out of fuel. Justin Winter's out of fuel. Luke Saunders is going to push him. Oh, there we go.
That's very nice.
McQueen
Yeah.
And the king
Very
moment.
nice.
Luke Saunders pushing Justin Winter to the line.
Very nice there. Justin Winter P8, Luke Saunders P9, Michael solid top 10 here, and Monkey Boy nearly got him at the end for P11. DJ Phil is going to come towards the line as well. Not a bad race for him. Where did Brian Craig finish? I don't think we mentioned Brian Craig much all night. DJ Phil was in 11th place. Down the order, Kieran Argent 17th. Where is Brian Craig? We've lost a couple of drivers. We're going to have to wait for the final classification to pop up on screen at the end of this one. But what a night's worth of racing this has been. Obviously, everybody has returned to the pit lane. What a night's worth of racing. While we just await for that final classification, we will put ourselves into the Discord chat to get the interviews underway. Comms box we go now for the driver interviews in this race, and what a race it has been. Hopefully we get to hear some of the drivers come in for their interviews then. But Dan, what a night's worth of racing it has been. 2 races that was action packed. Just talk us through your final thoughts and maybe your driver of the day as well.
Yeah, it's been a phenomenal night's worth of racing. A bit messy at places and a bit crazy as well. Yeah, Suzuka does produce some crazy racing, and these tricky conditions as well probably didn't help them out either. But you can't look past one driver and one driver only. Ellie has just been phenomenal from start to end. And yeah, the free practice, she may have hit that pace, making sure no one can see what she can truly do. But in the end, she came out on top, and she was the one to beat. And a true worthy winner there. And I think, to be fair, it's not just her who it's not just the pro-am boys need to worry. The pro boys might need to look over their shoulder and think, hang on a minute, if she can do those lap times and that pace, what can we do here in Suzuka? So it should be fascinating to see what we will witness tomorrow night.
Yeah, it should be fascinating indeed. Doesn't look like we're getting many people in for a chat tonight, but yeah, I'm going to echo that. I think my driver of the day is going to go to Ellie as well, just for that fact that it was a clean sweep by the debutante. Really, you can't say much more than that. Great performance from her on, like I say, the first 2 races. Now, whether that's a fan of Suzuka, we're going to see what happens next week. You know, it could just be the fact that she likes his circuit. Kota could be a completely different story, especially in that Ferrari. It's going to be interesting. But Kota, Dan, is going to provide once more some interesting racing, isn't it? It's a completely different circuit.
Oh, completely different circuit. I mean, it's still got some tight, twisty sections, but it's a lot more open and it's a lot more fast as well. And we might just see what the best of these guys can do around there. It's going to be interesting what happens at Kota, and hopefully the Pro-Ams will be able to complete the whole session and not be rewarded half points. But we will see. It's definitely a circuit that will definitely suit a lot of the powered cars. Mercedes might come back in a little bit more there, but I'm thinking that possibly the Ferrari is still going to be strong, but I also think the McLaren could suit Kota down to a T, but we shall see in a week's time. But first things first though, Matt, the Pro-Ams are done. It's now the Pro's turn to hit this circuit, and as we've had cloudy conditions throughout the week, Pro, on the other hand, get lovely sunshine.
Yeah, you boys get the best of the weather. The championship standings, though, after round 18 of the season, Richie Michel leads by 164 points. He's closing in on that championship, and it could possibly be won next week. Just to let you know, if you're wondering what happened to Brian Craig, just looking here, he's 22 laps down, so retired from the race, as did Darren Bell. So that is where Brian Craig was. He did not finish the race, same as Darren Bell. So that'll be 2 possible retirements for next week. But Ultimate Racer moves up into 3rd place with Justin Winter in 4th. Rob Smith, P5. This is obviously provisional results before drop scores and penalties. John Gooday moves up to 6th ahead of Steve Bex. Gary Clarball is 8th with Sam in 9th. Lando Norris rounding out the top 10. From Paul Williams, Casper Olin back up into 12th with Robert Ramsell 13th. Then it's Mirko Ricci down in 14th place. He's lost out big time tonight. Not the best of nights for Mirko Ricci. Luke Saunders up to 15th, Millington P16, Francisco 17th with Playerman in 18th. Then it's Brian Craig, Monkey Boy stays 20th but closes that gap to the top 20. Kieran Argent 21st, Rob Smith from DJ Phil, Cranky Duckhead, Michael, Darren Bell, Ellie already moving up the order quite substantially. Then it's the Jackal, Jamie, Graham, Dean Vigus, Ian Best, Matt Hicks, Dean Wasocki, Lucas and Ferdl, who didn't get underway. The Constructors' Championship looks like this. It is Team Richie Corsa, 150 points. The gap has been cut short. Still plenty more points up for grabs there, though, so a lot of things can happen in that one. That one is still wide open there in terms of the points. Greasy Bandits are P3 with Stage 2 Motorsport P4. Forever Forward Racing P5, Team Tom P6. They've got Cam Racing gaining on them fast. And it's Team FBR Roadrunner Bandits. McLaren Racing, Team Merlo, Naval Racing Team, Speedy Gonzalez, Greasy Bandits, Wind Up Motorsport. And as from McLaren Racing down, they cannot win the championship. As from Paul Williams in 11th down, they also cannot win the championship. Just going to check the Discord one more time. Nobody has joined us for an interview. So at the moment, Dan, all we have left to say is join us tomorrow night for me and Phil in the commentary box for the Pro Series. Hit that thumbs up button if you are new, the bell to be notified, and as always, subscribe to the channel. Check out our fantastic sponsors in the description below, and we will see you in the next one. Goodbye.
Goodbye.